Good morning, guys. Sorry about the delay there. There was a OBS update. How's everyone doing today? I think I speak for everyone when I ask, what is Mr. Poopy shorting this week? That's not nice. He didn't short it, right? Oh, weekend was okay. I'm doing all right. Having an okay weekend. I've been busy, but it's been okay. What's up, Renzer? All right. So what are we gonna do today? Hmm. Oh, happy Memorial Day, by the way. I guess we'll cover some memes and then Mag 7 S&P. I know JFresh blew his back out yesterday. He says trimming branches, but we all know that's about his sex chair. Saying bullish things about Fubo? I'd rather not. Do I have a choice? I'm not dead yet. Well, that's good. Good afternoon. What's the bottom indicator? Oh, that's good old CVVWAP. You guys remember that one? What's your divergence between Dow, SPX, and Q? Well, I don't know if they're diverging. They're all up. I mean, I would say Dow's just up less. There's a pretty big chunk of the Dow that doesn't like metal prices being higher. And gold, silver, and copper are up quite a bit today. Good morning. Is there a point in trying to buy options at the ask today? Or just wait for market open for us without level access stuff? Or you like for SPX on Globex? Where are the memes at? This is one of the memes. Alright, so the pores are going nuts because GME ran on the German exchange. So it's like, if I guess it GS2C. And if you take a look at GSTC, there's a lot of ARB going on today. Well, there was a lot of ARB going on today. I don't really know if it's that significant. It kind of looks like it got blown out pretty quick, but um, if that doesn't mean revert by tomorrow, there could be an arbitrage spread between the two exchanges into the morning session, which could drive a little bit of price improvement, or maybe yeah, maybe a little bit of price improvement. I don't think it's anything too crazy. It's still staying below 25. I know it hit like 26 at the peak, but we can convert this to dollars too. Ugh. I was just a little bit above 26 at the peak. Yeah, it's a move in the right direction. I mean, it's not pressuring 30. I don't think there's a lot of options interest above 25. And it's hard to tell how much this is going to affect price because the spreads are so wide, right? So, you know, pre-market on the US side is probably going to be a liquid too, and it can come down just as fast as it went up. But this isn't too uncommon for GME when it has holidays shortly after a run. It's definitely happened before. There's been some like weird arbitrage resolution that didn't really happen on the underlying. Um, and that's GME's got a fairly long history of that happening. So I don't think it's a huge deal, but it did run a little bit. If it opens tomorrow above 25, that might have a little bit more potential. Remember that we discussed this a bunch in the prior week, and now with the share offering officially complete, um, if the MMs needed any of that offering to bolster inventories, it could drive prices up briefly. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be a sustainable move. Also, we're probably going to see that $20 call sold even harder, especially if it gets back into like the $6 or $7 range, which it should be pretty close to right now. You're still targeting entry at 15 or 16 on what? On GameStop? I was never targeting an entry at 15 or 16. I buy it for 9. Or, well, less than 10. I don't really want to I don't want to play the high IV spikes. They're not worth it because the risk is too high. So like if you enter, so say GME bottoms out here and then has another run, right? In like a month or so. Um the options cost for buying into this is going to be way too high. It's not worth playing, and at least in my opinion. I'd much rather wait till IV gets crushed down and IV 90 drops, um, and there's a better entry opportunity, which would probably be sub 15, 16. Most of the short puts fall off around June OPEX, around the quad witching, and that should open up some more downside. LOL. Hello, Midwestern Consumer Sentiment Rep. Did you do any shopping? No. No, I haven't done any shopping. Isn't the share offering going to limit downside short term? Why? Like MM's snapping up the offering for liquidity is, slightly bullish, but not for a very long period of time. I don't see how the share offering would limit downside in any other way. Good morning, afternoon. What's up, TubeSock? Anyway, we'll see where GME opens tomorrow. Obviously, if it opens above 25, it's got a little bit of potential. If it opens back below 25, it's probably just going to fall back into that big wall of gamma down at like 2250 to 18, where it got hung up into the end of last week. So, keep an eye on that. But getting like a little burst of covering here doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a continuation in any kind of run. And IV is still coming down, so they're still actively shorting vol. But has Jimmy ever been far as decided what to do look more like? It really hasn't, Dork. It really hasn't. Anyway, that's about it for GME. I will say that it is quite liquid right now. These periods of higher liquidity tend to not be very bullish. Um, so I wouldn't lean too much into the overnight move on the European index as any kind of indication. GME is going to infinity. The number line goes both ways. Popcorn. Anywho, that's it for GME. Upstart's still coming down. Looks like it's heading back towards that 2050, maybe even lower, like 19 or 1750 level over the next couple of weeks. Pretty persistent shorting there. They still have plenty of liquidity to keep shorting it. Nvidia earnings didn't seem to affect it much. Maybe provided some brief support, but bots isn't overly pressured since Nvidia was really the only AI company that guided higher into the following quarter. Everyone else kind of revised guidance to the downside. So yeah, nothing too crazy with Upstart. It might find a nice floor around like maybe sub 20 this time, which would be neat. If it continues the trend of grinding down. What do you like right now in terms of which tickers? I don't know. I haven't done that part yet. I do that at night. What price would you consider going long Upstart? Financial conditions don't change much. Like back at like 12 or 13. It's just taking forever to get there because bears are scared to short it after what happened the first time. Um, and there's been a lot of like volatility harvesting because it spikes so hard, right? So that's done a pretty good job supporting the price and keeping it from falling too much, despite the business doing significantly worse than it was in 2023. So I mean, I wouldn't go long, like buy a long position on Upstart unless it was sub 20, ideally like sub 13, 14. I like Go EV. That's cool. It's neat. I mean, it has potential if they can do something with it. Fubo's still getting shorted. Nothing really exciting there. Slow grind down to $1, it looks like, but plenty of buyers at $1.23. This could be shorts exiting. We kind of discussed this earlier, and they may be exiting in preparation for the sixth consecutive earnings beat. If they are, around $1 is a phenomenal entry point, at least historically. They did quite well on it the last time it was down here. But they still have plenty of liquidity. And I would say if they really want to get the price lower, they probably could. What we're interpreting is long buyers providing support could also simply be shorts exiting. Top, still not running, which is kind of lame. Getting shorted back down. some trouble with ETF liquidity there, but not too much. Beyond had a nice move last week on Friday. It ran up a bunch and then crashed back into close. That was probably the extent of some extra covering brought on by its continued reg show inclusion. It can do this a bunch. Like, yeah, this was the majority of the covering back on that reg show period, right? And there were still several days where we had some sharp spikes. So, you know, if you can identify a decent low range on it, there's still money to be made. It's just a lot riskier. And for me, I'd rather wait till it falls off reg show and then look to go long during kind of like this period here, right? Where you get your lowest price levels. I'll get to BNet in a second. Go EV doesn't look like anything's really happening there. There's a little bit of ETF covering going on, but no significant covering in the underlying. So they're probably just trying to bleed off obligations while volume and interest is fairly low. There probably isn't any big threat to the positioning here until we start to approach the next earnings period, which I believe is out in August. So a little bit of time for this to bleed off. CSPs still present fantastic yields here. And as you know, as volatility rises into August earnings, mechanically, that's going to pressure the short calls, which are now at $2.50, $3, and $3.50, and $4. So as the volatility rises, these will be more incentivized to close, and the continued selling of short puts is going to keep pushing the market makers neutral down, right? And keeping that close to spot means that it only takes a small amount of short call capitulation for this to run back up again. We did get a little bit of a run like a week ago. We got a little bit of a run prior to that. These are getting smaller in size, and so they're probably bleeding off more significant chunks of their obligations. But if the short puts continue to come in at the rate they're coming in, that could shift and we could get another bigger spike. How many Go EV Jan 25 $7 calls is too many? 25 or 26? So the tricky thing about BNet is we're still not seeing the volatility, like the liquidity get any better. They've stabilized the run, right? But the MM's still carrying the delta hedge on the $50 or 50-cent strikes, which is huge. Some of that falling off with this week's expiry might be beneficial to them, but you know, people are also loading the $1 strike, and so um, and quite a lot too. Not to mention selling the 50-cent put, and that's keeping the pressure up. Right, we're not seeing any of the pressure fall off. It's still staying really illiquid, and they don't get any break from this until the offering is complete out on June 4th. Right, so it still has the potential to run really hard, but I think they have it mostly contained outside of, you know, somebody buying a bunch of shares again, right? If somebody comes in and picks up a portion of the free float again, that could start this problem all over, right? Because of how much exposure they've built trying to bring the price back down. They're very exposed to not only like Vega, but any big moves in Gamma. I just want to see my name green. Carry on. Thank you so much, Real Flash. You want me to talk about Barrick? If it'll shut you up. It's slowly improving. I don't think they've released their Q2 estimates yet for production, but if their production estimates are up against higher gold prices, that should be bullish for them. I don't know why you'd be overextended gold miners if you're not long gold, but I'm not going to ask the real questions because you're you. Can you expect UGI to stay around the current price until the end of the year? Oh, UGI. I mean, I don't know if I care as long as it keeps yielding. um, it's in a fairly stable uptrend. If you go out and look at UGI on the weekly and look at like long-term growth, it's always been phenomenal, right? It wasn't really until like COVID kind of took the wind out of its sails, and a little bit the kind of negative sentiment around utilities into the back half of 2023, right? But I mean, historically, it's always outperformed the S&P 500. It may take some time to get there again. I mean, gas prices are still really low, but I expect they have enough growth that they should get back on track as their debt gets paid off, right? And a lot of this is, that debt rollover, and people are afraid, they're gonna have to take on much higher rates, and not have sufficient cash flows. But I think their cash flows are gonna be fine. Worst case scenario that happens on this, you get a cut in the dividend, but their payout ratio, this quarter it's kind of high, but year over year it's not that bad. Their payout ratio, can come down and they can cover more debt that way. Can you go over end phase? Is Poopy looking to short it? I don't think he is. I mean, so. Oh, anyway, if they do cut their dividend, I would probably pick up more on the drop, right? Depending on how much they cut it. But for now, I mean, it yields better. It yields better than, a 2-year treasury, and it has a moderate amount of growth, right? So, I think overall I'm gonna keep holding it. That's mostly what it's supposed to do. I know it went up a lot from where we bought in already, but it's got plenty of range, especially if nat gas prices actually pick up. Yeah, we can talk about end phase. End phase is the not so great version of FSLR, at least in the current market conditions. As a business, they're not run quite as well. Their margins have been pretty steadily in decline for the last couple of quarters, but they are like the next biggest US solar manufacturer. And despite their exposure to gallium, which is being restricted via trade on the Chinese side, they still benefit from the U.S. tariffs on um, Chinese solar panels. So I don't think they'll perform as well as FSLR, but they're probably a strong sympathy play for the same macroeconomic drivers that are pushing FSLR. Um, and once upon a time, Enphase was the favorite above FSLR. They just didn't manage um, tighter financial conditions as well. And the export cuts to gallium were probably hurt them quite a bit. So I think it's got some decent range. It looks like calls are stacking on it to the upside, targeting like the 140 to 160 range. But as we saw with FSLR, that could explode higher really rapidly, right? Initially when we looked at FSLR last week, most of the options interest really topped out around 220, right? And then there was some coming in further out of the money, but not nearly as much as came in throughout the week, right? Obviously, that positioning grew like tenfold after it started running, and basically the point where it's like started squeezing into the end of the week, right? NFA is not quite in as good a position, but there is a decent amount of options interest out to like 130, 140, after which it kind of falls off. So I don't think it has quite as much range. Um, I have 125s and 140s on it. I have some 150s as well. Mostly for September. My 125s are for July. And that's pretty much the only positioning I have on it right now. There's a pretty big resistance at 140, but as it moves up, we may see more positioning come in at higher prices. I think most of my options on it are already up like 50 to 100%. Also, the options on it are a little bit, well, now they're not, but they were a little bit more expensive than Enphase, and that might be why it didn't, or FSLR. That might be why it didn't pick up interest as quickly. Now, comparatively, the options on it are cheaper. He's that one crazy dude is bearish on gold miners, but bullish on gold. That actually kind of makes sense. I don't know if that's that nutty, right? I mean, gold miners aren't prepped. They're not well prepped for a massive surge in gold prices, right? Like they've been trimming production for years because gold prices were in the toilet, and it's really hard to spin that back up quickly. And I went long Barrick because they tend to be very well capitalized, and they can usually ramp up their production fairly fast. That might like there's a couple others that maybe like Rio Tinto. Hmm. Actually, I don't know how much gold exposure they have anymore. I think Kennecott mine in Salt Lake might be the only one they have left. Hmm. Yeah, it's primarily copper. I'm trying to see if I can find their latest gold production reports. So they produced 281,000 ounces of gold in 2023. But that's 281,000. That's down pretty significantly from 2018 when they were produced 372 thousand ounces. Um, so yeah, I mean even they've been trimming production quite a bit. So yeah, the question is with the massive amount of demand on gold, can miners spin up fast enough to take advantage of the current pricing? Why are futures up? I mean, they're not up a lot. It's just a little bit. Did you take a look at SQ block? Been thinking of a long or leaps for it. Progressively improving EPS. I think they can continue to grow. Chart was immediately shorted off of the last earnings beat. Hmm. I feel like they're in a very similar position to PayPal, but without the recognition. Their margins are looking significantly better. I'm interested in their debt. $4.6 billion in debt with $16 billion in liabilities. Took on a lot of financing through the COVID. So about four billion of their debt taken on between 2020 2021. I mean, part of the reason that they're not maintaining a higher PE might just be that they're expected to renew on that. Actually, PE is at like 86 right now. Hold on. That's pretty high. I'm wondering what this big drop in cash flows was. It's from financing activities. I have to look into their earnings and see what that big net outflow was. Why did their operating income drop so hard? Change in accounts payable. Other assets and liabilities negative 665 million. Yeah, I would look into their earnings report and see what that is. What here's my question. What makes them unfairly priced here? Like, this was obviously absurd. And I feel like this is just the new normal. And they're trading at a forward PE of like 86x. Nevada Gold Mines purchased Barrick Gold has been responsible for industry consolidation. Um, well, I mean, that's part of the problem as well, right? Because when you get one large entity that owns multiple large miners, they're going to all scale production back at the same rate. I like that FSLR received upgrades last week, with analysts citing increased energy needs due to the AI explosion, implying that if AI fails to create profits, utilities will fail hard with tech. I mean, not utilities, but solar manufacturers, right? FSLR is not a utility company. Do you think silver will pick up like gold? It has been. Silver's been doing quite well. What's China gonna do with all the gold they're buying? Hedge against international sanctions. So when are we gonna fully accept that AI will completely change worker productivity to the point where PE ratios right now are actually a bargain? I mean, AI has already changed worker productivity. People using AI in their day-to-day job have been producing less, which is fantastic because they're spending all their time fucking around with prompts and chat GPT instead of doing their jobs. Less is more. More so just with ongoing growth in the payments sector. I think they're better than PayPal. They have Cash App and Tidal with a growing foreign use of their Square platform. Yeah, they might be. But that doesn't mean they should be worth more than they're currently trading at. A lot of that growth appears to be priced in already. So you'd have to make a case for why they should trade at a PE ratio above 86. Yeah, no problem, Rick Depper. Magnanimous, welcome to Cornichon. Does FSLR have more room to run? Oh, the question of the week. It could, yeah. I do think it deserves to have a decent pullback, but nowadays that might not be entirely true, right? There's a pretty decent chunk of options interest that built Friday out to 300. Even some options interest coming in at 310, 320, 340. So it may not stop, right? There's there's still buyers. I will say that a loss of 270 could see us retest 260 again, and then 260's a pretty decent support. And we could, right? 70 or 75, 80 aren't super well supported. There's not a ton of options interest in the current range, and that could see us retreat down to 270 where there's less support, and then fall to 260 while we wait for more options to kind of fill in that 260 to 280 range. However, there are so many options at 280 that we may just keep going straight up. If it did fall back to 260, I would probably pick up some more exposure. But I did pick up a couple 280s and 300s last Thursday. As I kind of scaled out of my 200 220 position. Not as much. I have way less exposure now than I did to the initial run, but a little bit. And then I could average those down if we do get a pullback. I don't think AI is helping Square. I mean, Square makes money from taking more payments, right? It's all transaction fees, so more transactions, more money. AI is not going to get them more transactions. We're about to enter an age of extreme deficit spending. We already did that. If you don't full port Nvidia calls, you won't be able to beat inflation. Are you working for CNBC now? Is my meta call Finipront? I don't know. Let's talk about it, Dork.
What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Oh, nothing much. Just hanging out, performing some diddlery. The
Nice.
usual.
Oh, nice, nice. How's the yurt
Yeah.
been coming along?
Oh, it's been going great. I actually new development in the housing department. I actually got my sprinkler system working.
Nice.
So now my lawn's not going to be dead, I think.
Well, I mean, you do live in the desert.
Yeah, so it's a constant. Like I was out there watering for like 20 minutes a day, and it just wasn't helping. So yeah, these sprinklers and just especially because the lawn's like mostly dead, it's just super thirsty. You know,
Is that a
it's like a college
euphemism?
freshman.
It is now.
But now my next thing I got to figure out is the person who owned this home before installed a drip system, but they have no idea how it's hooked up. They just know that it's there. And I see these hoses popping out of the ground, and I'm just like, I'm thinking what I want to do is like punch a hole in each of those hoses because I think they're just capped off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna punch a hole in each of the hoses and then just run the sprinkler system on those like zones that don't have any time programmed into them, and just see what the hell happens, right? And then one of them's probably going to squirt water out of it, and then I'm going to be like, all right, so that's this zone, and then the other one's going to squirt water over, like that's that zone. Although I think that one of the zones,
Have you looked
like
up
I
the
think
YouTube video for your specific sprinkler controller?
I have the manual, and it's pretty straightforward. Like I know how to like run a cycle on one of the zones, so I'll just like I think it's like zone 3 is supposed to be the drip system, so I'm just gonna go to zone 3 and run it for like a minute, just run out to my backyard and see if I see water spraying out of one of the tiny holes. If I do, I'm gonna snip that hose, and then I was gonna use the little soaker hoses.
Yeah.
So I was gonna take like a some half. So I have like I'm gonna go buy some 1/2 inch and run that like around the back of the backyard, and then pick off of that 1/2 inch at like the tree locations. And then I was thinking of using like the 1/4 inch tubing because I have 1/4 inch soaker, and I was gonna do like a couple concentric rings of soaker tubing at the base of the trees in my backyard.
Have you considered alternatively just getting some like plastic grass?
Well, this is no, this is for trees. I guess I could get plastic trees though.
I feel like you could just water the tree. Are they gonna? The trees aren't gonna die. I mean, it rains in Reno.
Yeah, but I mean, still, there's a couple of
Mostly,
young trees back there, so those are kind of needing water.
yeah.
So I was thinking the soaker hoses, just run those for like 30 minutes every night or something like that,
Yeah.
and then call it a day on that.
You
But
know
I
what?
also have
You
a
know what
couple
my
planter boxes.
solution? My solution to this would be is maybe just live somewhere with water.
I mean, yeah, but no, but yeah. I mean, you show me a place with water that's cheap and not a shithole, and I'll think about it.
Michigan.
Shithole.
I mean, but it's cheap and they have
Right. I said
water.
cheap and not a shithole with water.
Mm. I don't know if you can classify Reno as being not a shithole. It's just some parts of Reno are not a shithole.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
definitely shithole parts of Reno. You used to live there before you decided to upgrade.
But like the thing is like a quick trip to Home Depot for a little bit of tubing and a couple hours in the hot sun
This is just where it
versus
begins, though.
moving.
This is just where it
Oh,
begins. You're gonna
I
be
know.
fucking with that sprinkler system for the next 30 years of your life.
If I can get the drip system going successfully, then that's pretty much all I really want for my backyard because there's like a couple planter boxes back there, and I just want to grow some fucking
No,
tomatoes
that's
and
not
other
what's
dumb
gonna
shit.
happen. Because you're gonna be like, oh, I got the drip system running. Now I can grow weed in my backyard, right?
That
And
was one of
then
the
that's
plants I was
gonna
going to grow,
start.
but
That's gonna start a whole nother project.
well, the problem is you can't grow weed within X amount of miles from a school, and I think I'm fairly close to a school.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so if I do it, plus the HOA probably is going to frown on me growing weed in my backyard.
It's very smelly.
It's stinky and it's an HOA, and those people are stinky.
Is
It's
JFresh
just
your
bad.
HOA president?
He might be.
Uh,
I haven't gone to an HOA meeting to complain yet.
he's not gonna let you grow weed.
He's
Oh
probably not going to let
God,
me
you have an HOA.
grow. Yeah, they're pretty hands off so far. But I know I got to get my lawn going because they're going to get pissy about that if it's just super dead. So I've been trying to get it going, but I think I have to thatch my lawn too, which kind of sucks.
I don't even know what that means.
So your lawn has like a layer of dead plant material on it, right? Like you cut the grass and leaves
Yeah.
falling and shit. That's the thatch layer, right?
Okay.
And you want a little bit of thatch because it's good, right? It serves as like a little bit of a water retention device. Puts nutrients in the soil, that kind of stuff. It's like a thin layer of compost. But if your thatch gets too thick, you'll actually start, starving out your grass, right? With all
Boring.
this stuff.
Talk about stocks. We are. We just
Well,
haven't gotten around to it yet. This is
dude,
all
like
part of the long fertilizer play, all right?
There are way too many people in here right now. We're trying to do what we do best, which is make you guys leave.
Yeah, then we talk about interesting things like FSLR.
Yeah, speaking of FSLR, I'm pretty pissed that I sold my entire position when it was up like 400% because I
I
didn't realize
literally, I
I was gonna
literally
have like a
have the,
50 bagger.
I literally have the DM where I said you're gonna do that thing where you sell too early again, aren't you? And you're like, no, I left runners, and then you're like, I sold my runners, and then we went up $50 more.
Dude, like that was insane. Like everyone's going crazy over GME, but fucking FSLR had like was like a way better play.
Yeah, yeah, because the options were like free. Did you
Yeah, they
see?
were.
Did you see the 275 zero DTEs on Friday? Went up 22,000%.
Jesus Christ. It's fucking
So if
ridiculous,
you bought a
dude.
275 at market open for like 5 cents,
If you bought 10 of them, you would have made like $100,000.
Jesus
Some crazy
Christ,
shit
I'll
like
be
that.
poor forever. I mean, that's just because you keep buying gold, and not actual gold, but the Barrick. I don't know why you're not long gold if you're bullish miners. Like, why don't you have any GLD exposure? Like when gold drops to 2,300, why aren't you picking up some like GLD? I own GLD. Are you selling it at the top, or are you just like sitting on it?
So,
You know
Dirk,
what? I don't care. What? What's up?
you know why I bought Medicalls or a Medical?
Yeah, to hedge your shitty spy put.
That's exactly right. But just look at the exposure for Meta
Okay, hold on.
and the neutrals too. The neutrals I thought were more compelling than the exposure, but
Meta's been in
the
kind of a
exposure
slump for a while since earnings.
it has. However,
Night,
one, don't
good.
fuck with the Zuck, and two, they got a gap to fill to the upside.
Well, there's a kind of a bullish close. Yeah, that gap's been there for like a month though. I will say that
It has.
the close on Friday was pretty bullish.
Yeah, that
And
was like that was the thing was the move up right into the upper range again. Like it's just trying to break out so hard. It's almost a I think it is a triple bottom
I don't think it has a
on the
ton
trend flag.
of range, but it's got a bit. I mean,
I think like at least another 5-10 bucks is really kind of my target move. But I bought something that could capture more profitably just because I have this feeling in my butthole that that QQQ is going to try to squash that fucking ridiculous candle we had on Thursday, and just move up like crazy. And it's going to be an improvement in breadth. But when I say that, I mean breadth from Nvidia down to the other six stocks that people buy.
yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
Meta is going to be a beneficiary of
NQ's
that.
up 40 points today
Nice. I wonder how much
because
of that is just Meta.
probably not a lot of it, but it looks like Meta is gonna have a hard time getting over 480. Like
I think you're
480 to
right.
500 is a bit of a rough range, but it could fill in. And there's some interest, right? Like there's a little bit of bullishness going on there. I don't think it's getting above
Yeah.
500, but it could definitely test 500.
Yeah, that's kind of my optimistic look. I think that if we do break 480 and go for the 485 test, and I think we might see more interest pick up in the 90s, and that's where I like that's what I'll be watching is those 90 calls. If interest picks up in those, then it's looking more bullish. But if it doesn't, or it does on like falling price action,
Yeah.
then it's probably going to be the top. But the interesting thing to me with Meta, and this came out on Friday, which sort of solidified my thought, like my suspicions. Right, I jumped in a little early on that front,
Hmm.
but gamma neutral falling lower while gamma max is rising. is kind of telling me that that the stock is gaining some support here.
Yeah.
So I'm just keeping an eye on it. I expect like maybe like a 2-day move, really. Like it's like my base expectation. Like another move on Monday, maybe Tuesday we get a continuation, but it's just going to test it's just going to test that sort of upper range, right, of the uptrend and the bear flag, and then it might just fail. But I wanted to be here for it.
Yeah, I think the 500 test is pretty reasonable here. That doesn't, and you're talking like a bounce here. That did fail, which I didn't like, but it picked up support again. Yeah, like 497, 500 seems reasonable. So like $20.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be good. I got a contract with just the right amount of delta and gamma to help me pick that up. But
Yeah, also if you look at like the weekly expiration, that's pretty bullish, right? Like the shorter dated calls, there's plenty of interest out to 500. And the longer dated shit's a lot more bearish. Like
yeah,
that's
no,
that's
it's
that's
definitely
really
a
where
swing
like
trade.
the sold puts and the sold calls kind of take over. But as far as like gamma just spiking it up to 500, it seems really reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a swing play and not a anything
I also
like
think
crazy.
Charm should be pretty supportive into the back half of this week too. So yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm expecting on the contract, right? Like, hopefully return around 30% is my target. Uh, but
Which
you know,
contract do you have?
uh,
I know you
let
showed
me.
me the other day. It's the June 21 500, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's it. That's definitely it.
Aren't you already up more than 30%?
No, I wasn't even looking at the price of Meta when I bought it, but I bought it at pretty much the top. Uh, but that giant freaking 70 basis point doinker into close brought my contract up, so now I'm just like slightly green.
Oh, okay.
Because I bought it on Friday. Like I literally wasn't even really looking at the price. I was just like, I saw it move up at open. I was like, all right, that's cool. And then like 45 minutes later, I was like, Meta's kind of primed to be the next QQQ pumpy stock. So I'm gonna buy a call, and then I bought a call, and then
Should give it a
our data finished up, and I looked at it.
115% return on a test of 197 if you get it this by the end of this week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really want to hold it past Wednesday.
Really? I
I
mean,
think
your decay's not that bad if it keeps moving up.
it's not, but the thing is I
Like
don't expect Meta to move up for more than 3 days.
into Friday, after Friday it gets really bad, but you're still
Yeah.
25 DT.
Well, I just know that the IV on those contracts is going to crush super hard if it gets rejected. That's why, I don't want to hang around if it doesn't end up playing out like quickly. Then
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep hanging out and waiting for it to turn around. I'm just going to because that failure, right, is super bearish. Like you were just
Mm,
like pointing out the bear flag and the failure of the uptrend. Like it's there's a triple bottom, so I might wait for like a low test, but I'm not gonna sit around past that. And even then, on that drop right back to like 465, it's gonna be brutal on the 500s because they've got quite a bit of gamma.
interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike it. Um, obviously it doesn't have a ton of range, but I think the range it does have, like, I would probably have my PTs at like 90 or 95, and then
Yeah,
just
that's about what I'm
take
looking
profit
for.
before you reach a point where it could reject. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, really, I feel like it's. I don't know much about TA, but it looks like 485 is sort of like the breakout confirmation if you can get above that.
Um,
Um,
Yeah, I mean, well, at least as far as like gamma goes, that's where calls start to fall off a bit.
Yeah, so if it breaks 85,
But 90 and 95 have like doubled over the last couple of days. So, I
yeah,
mean,
and I don't think those are sold necessarily.
no, it doesn't look like they are.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my play.
Also the
Like,
MM's like positive Vega exposure picks up a shitload between like 85 and 90.
yeah,
500 does look like a hard top though. That's gonna be rough to get past.
yeah, those ones are most likely sold, and it's also kind of why I bought them so that the IV on them would go up, and I would catch a little bit of extra juice from just some short calls closing out of fear, right? Give me a little bit of maybe an extra, few percent on the bid, but you know, I'm not. Yeah, like I said, my expectations aren't crazy high. I hedged with a shitty spy put because I was like, if Meta gets rejected from here, then I mean, since they are a big AI play, quote unquote,
Yeah.
if they get rejected from here and go back and like retest 460, then I mean, the market's going to go down because they're not the only thing that's going to get rejected. There's plenty of stuff like Amazon's starting to fail. So if they actually break down, then that's going to be super bearish. Netflix is at all-time highs, so it was a contextual play, contextual play, but I wanted to catch the pumpy cow that's going to save the index for another 2 days, and that struck me as meta.
It's historically been Nvidia and Meta.
Yeah, yeah.
Those have
Well, I
been
mean,
the
meta was
two
what,
big
like
ones.
$70, like just a little bit ago.
Yeah, we should take
123 bucks.
if we're gonna talk about AI pumping this week, we should take a look at Apple because Apple's kind of been Apple was a big part of our recent move up, but it's also kind of been shit since it topped out at like 92.50. Um and that's
Yeah, they still
been
haven't breached all-time highs.
no.
Inflation adjusted, they're down a
Yep.
lot.
There's still, I mean, Gamma Max is still like super far out of the money. There's a ton of short call interest, but or Delta Friday on the dealer side just is just barely positive. There's still some positive Delta, and some of the negative charm fell off. But no one's selling puts on Apple, which is really weird. Like
Hmm.
I've been selling puts on it for a couple of weeks, but that seems to have just fallen off a cliff. And if people are pulling back short puts, Apple might be ready to fail this most recent breakout. Um,
God damn it.
yeah, yeah. Call interest has been pretty steadily declining over the last like 5 days, 6 days now. Like bot calls, there is a little uptick in sold puts last week, so maybe that's or last Friday specifically. So maybe that just catching that bounce right here will be
Gotcha.
sufficient for like another retest. But this looks, I mean, like I would say over the next month or so, the chain's not getting a lot stronger. And generally, when that happens with Apple, like it just starts to fail because it takes so much to move it, right?
Stop making me so bullish on Meta, bro.
I mean, if Apple moves up this week, though, right? Like if it's short term bullish still, that's really good for Meta.
Honestly, if Apple goes down or up, it's good for Meta because if Apple goes down, our boy Jimmy Dizzle's going to buy, a few million Meta shares to pump it up and keep QQQ from looking like shit.
I don't know. Have you heard Jamie lately?
I know, I'm using him as a euphemism.
I was gonna say he's the most bearish of the investment bankers.
Yeah, he is
At this point, honestly, I have more respect for Jimmy Dizzle than a lot of the Bears from 2022 and 2023 because our man, James JP Morgan's boss, Dimon, is not backing down from his position.
Nope. But he's
He's
also
maintaining.
retiring, so he just like doesn't give a shit anymore. He's like, I'm just gonna tell
Right, yeah.
people what's happening the way I see it. Yeah, he's doing. He literally is doing the Fed's job, or trying to. But he benefits the most from the Fed doing the right thing too. As the most stable of the GSIB banks, he wants the other banks to fail.
Oh yeah, I was pretty happy when I found out that my loan was underwritten by JP Morgan. I was like, you know what? My counterparty risk is about as low as it could possibly be. That's nice.
I'm out of both Thursday and Friday. I bought contracts that went 3K in the money and sold for like $200 profit. What on FSLR? I felt so smug taking FSLR profits 1,000%.
There'll be more like that. I mean, it's
When
just
market shark
yeah.
time? Maybe closer to June as we get PCE and the Fed minutes. We're getting kind of unstable here, which I guess we could go into a little bit. I did want to cover a couple more of the Mag 7. What's
Yeah, like
worth
Nvidia.
it? Amazon's boring. Nvidia's just kind of
Amazon
boring right
puts
now, right?
Amazon puts down to 175 might be kind of nice.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't. Let me look.
It's got a nice little double top going on here, right? I mean, it could be a double head and shoulders, but it looks like it's just a double top right now.
I think the 180 is still going to act as support.
Yeah. The breakdown of this looks like it's not going to be very fun to try to pull anything out of. Maybe.
I'm going to be a little bit
mm,
biased on Amazon because I still have short puts out. I guess I don't have to worry about them either way, but
yeah, I don't see Amazon falling below 175.
yeah, that's where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a good chance to sell more of them, but
I don't want to concentrate my risk this like 2 weeks out from expiry.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, how
um,
big are your balls, right?
yeah, Amazon gets kind of faily back here. You know what Amazon's doing is it's accruing a shitload of sold calls. Um, you might actually be right. 170, a 175 failure is bad. Like it could drop pretty rapidly. And there's a lot of puts at like 177.50, 170. So like the last supportive strike is 75. And if it loses that, there's nothing. And it looks like all the out of the money calls are sold.
Lovely.
Yeah, actually you might be right. Short Amazon, or at least maybe like short calls.
Yeah, maybe like bear calls to at like
Spot.
90, 85, maybe.
Just spot. Why sell them out of the money if it's falling?
I don't know. Lower risk, but
I mean, the risk is already capped.
that's true. Okay, so now let's talk about the real trade, which is the full port Nvidia puts trade.
Full port
Uh,
Nvidia puts.
I'm just kidding. It's a quick way to lose all your money.
Well, not.
They're
I
trading at
mean,
1070.
you, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
So they're doing the stock split, right?
Yeah, well, that's gonna be bearish, but everything into the stock split should be bullish as fuck. It's
Yeah.
already
So
trading. It's already trading over Gamma Max, and that's rising.
so they're doing a 10 to
I
1
played the
stock
shit
split,
out of the
right?
Nvidia split back in like 22. I made a fucking killing on it.
Yeah, there's going to be good liquidity in the options market once the split's finalized. 10-1, right?
Yeah, they're splitting 10-1.
Okay, cool. So looking at 106.90 roughly for spot price, but we'll probably go up to like 1100. Yeah, I think that Nvidia post split, I think the volatility is going to start being reduced, right,
It's
with the
probably
increase in
gonna
liquidity.
it's probably gonna crash post split. All of those
We'll
leaps,
see.
all of those leaps are gonna fall off the chain, right?
Well, yeah, but hopefully they'll just roll into the
It's gonna do
into
like
the
what it's gonna be
post-split
like the
chain.
Tesla split.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll have like a big dump in volatility, like implied volatility, and then it should come back up. There's an opportunity there.
You might be able to get into some leaps cheap and get like a cheap sort of like long dated straddle.
Maybe.
So that might be kind of nice. Google, I don't know. I never know how to feel about Google.
Google's
I'm
just
like, it's
like
like,
Google's just like capped out.
yeah,
There's been nowhere for Google to go for like 2 weeks now.
yeah. I've never been able to just get my like wrap my head around what like how Google behaves. It's just so it's like it's good and then it's not like really not good, and it's like you don't really know why because it's just fucking Google and there's they have fingers in every pie. It's like, okay, who made people bearish on Google? It was probably some weird ass niche company that like has like cutting back on their capex, and so Google goes down because they're one of Google's biggest customers or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's I mean it's kind of hard to track in the same way that Amazon is.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. Exactly.
you don't know what facet of the business is doing poorly. But there's been a lot of renewed talk about like Google's revenues dropping due to like Gen AI, right?
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is every time you use Google now, you notice, all right, maybe it's when I'm using Edge, I forget if it does it in the Google search, but there are all these big search engine people are tacking the AI response onto your search.
Yeah.
So
Oh
that
yeah, the thing that's been on like Twitter where like
yeah,
everyone
just
yeah, so that's been in the media a lot lately with like Google just like Gemini just popping out like, yeah, you should eat 5 rocks a day, and cockroaches are called cockroaches because they burrow into your penis, and
Yeah.
that's been getting spun up quite a bit lately, which is probably bearish for them, right?
Well, it's doubly bearish for them because they're also just burning money, shitting out AI responses for things that probably don't need an AI response.
yeah. Well, I mean, they probably just shouldn't be doing that because like weird queries are gonna bring up weird responses, right? And that's what people have figured out. I mean, the same is true for Chat GPT, but they're not actively advertising it on the front of everyone's search, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of, but that's I think long term fairly bearish. But yeah, the shitty query responses like that. I don't know necessarily how investors are going to take that because you know that the current mentality is it's always getting better and the next iteration is going to be infinitely better. So
Mm,
the short term response to that honestly might even be bullish.
yeah, that's reasonable.
So it's completely irrational, but it is reasonable.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I mean, if we look at the data on Google, it doesn't look as bullish as it did, right? Like after its most recent big bounce and its like double test of Gamma Max, it is starting to kind of fail and fall back behind like the rest of the Mag 7. I know like short puts on it have been falling off pretty consistently. Delta's been trimming down a bit, but it's not like enough to say it's really going to move down. It's just I feel comfortable selling calls above 180, kind of bearish. Maybe
Yeah.
177.50, but like nothing more than that, right? Like I mean, because any piece of news can shoot it right back up again.
Yeah, straight back to 180. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's not forget, like, the last recovery was just because Chat GPT was like, I don't think we're going to include search in the next iteration. And boom, Google gained like 20 billion market cap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like short dated short calls on it are still decent. And then if it really pulls back like under, I don't know what, like like the 160 range or something again, then maybe it'll be worthwhile to. What the fuck is going on with this? Hold on, I gotta look at different data.
It's my fault.
No, it's not yours, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
woo!
Yeah, shitload of sold calls at 180, 185. And not a ton of support to the downside. A little bit at 175. I think if it loses 160 though, that's where you could really start to look for a larger downside move. But right here, just stuck in a $5 range. So that probably makes the bear calls pretty advantageous at like 180, 185. What's the return on that?
No idea.
80, 85. It's like a 39% return on risk.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the 8250 85 is 31% return on risk.
That's not bad.
And 8250 is 47% for the June 21 expiry. That might be too long. Maybe it's better to go like May 31st or June 7th.
The May 31st look all right at the 8085.
Yeah, you get a huge jump on the 11 DTE though.
Oh, yeah, just get that extra little bit of gamma.
Yeah, you have the 17% return on risk to 35 for what, 7 more days. That one's kind of interesting. All right, what else is there?
Yeah. There is Tesla. It's a piece of shit. All right, moving on. Netflix. It's almost topped out, I think.
Yeah, so I shorted Netflix this week with some weeklies. I did pretty good. But it was scary the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I want to short it because it just does stupid shit because it's so illiquid. I mean, technically it can still kind of squeeze up to like 50, 655 before it runs into any real resistance. And almost all of that is like weekly calls. So I don't think I'd short it again yet. It seems too soon.
Yeah.
And
I'm never really
the recovery
options on Netflix.
the recovery was so strong because when sometimes they just print like crazy. That's why. That's why, dork.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, but it's incredibly risky.
Because Netflix just will move $50 a day for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's a $650 stock. I mean, there's nothing to hate about, the high notional value stock price because when it comes to options, right, those notional moves more directly translate to your delta exposure, which is great. But
honestly, I wish Netflix would split because it was way better playing it in the 300 to like 350 range back in like 23. Like even end of 23. It was better than it is now. Like it's gotten the fucking chain and stuff have gotten so illiquid above 500. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's because
freaking IV on Netflix is juiced, and so especially up at these prices, like you gotta really make it worth your while with respect to premium. So I get why the MMs don't want to price down anything on Netflix, because it is a highly volatile stock.
All right, let's take some questions. Costco needs to stop doing what it's doing. Hopefully, earnings fixes some of it. Yeah, I think Costco's probably not in for a great earnings season. Um, I know, like membership numbers or renewals were down a little bit in the last quarter. That's probably a trend that's gonna continue, right, as consumer discretionary spending starts to dry up a bit, and people start to seek out cheaper options. And consumer sentiment's not been doing great, right? So the combination of both of those things has some effect on Costco, although they tend to be more insulated from like the drop in consumer discretionary spending than like luxury brands would be, or like Target tends to be a lot more affected, because like the Costco membership for a lot of people is like the last thing they're gonna drop because of the savings, if nothing else, like the savings on gas, over the counter pharmaceuticals, and meat, um are alone like worth it. And then you have a lot of people whose membership is like tied into their credit offering, right, where they get like where you get like 4% cash back if you have both, I think. If you have like the
Yeah,
Costco credit card and the Costco executive membership. And
I mean,
so,
I don't know why you want to be bearish on. I don't know why anybody would want to be bearish on defensives around this point in time in the economic cycle. Honestly,
yeah, I don't think Costco is really a defensive. And they took a big hit back in 2022 and 20 early 23 with the drop in consumer sentiment, right? They are definitely affected by it. But it's a question of how long and how bad consumer sentiment needs to get for them to really feel any pain. And I think it's probably still too early. And I am saying this as someone who shorted Costco like not even that not even that long ago, but I also just got out of it. So um here, yeah, it's a little risky, but it does have some room to fail.
so okay.
I would much rather go short Costco when like the trend in memberships is declining, like there's a confirmed decline, and consumer sentiment falls below like mid 23 highs. And I think if we saw that, where we get like a big contraction in like consumer discretionary spending and durable spending drops, that's when I'd maybe consider shorting Costco. They are trading at like a PE of 50, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, okay, that makes that's yeah. All right. Can I request a stock now?
Yeah, which one?
Because I'm obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Carvana.
Yeah, that's fine. I entered my short finally.
Yeah, okay. I wondered why we had a red candle on Friday.
Yeah, I got into my short. I got into my short Friday. I picked up some bear put ladders. I sold the 115, bought the 110 100.
Yeah,
So
Carvana, their price to book ratio is 76.36.
they're trading at a PE of 44.
Yeah,
And
both of those
interest
numbers alone are
interest rates
ridiculous.
aren't going down.
Yeah,
Neither is let's also say the interest on their debt also isn't fucking going down.
yeah, no, and the values of their cars are not going up.
Nope. All of their inventory is bleeding.
Yeah, no, their current valuation is just completely astronomically incorrect. It
So
is unbelievably incorrect.
So I've been selling short calls on Carvana since it tested like 130 pretty aggressively at the 115 strike. And I've been waiting like 3 weeks for it to fail 110, and it finally did on Friday. And I think this is roughly the end of its big pump cycle. We're what, $6 above delta neutral. Once it fails that, it's got a pretty clear path to fill the downside gap, at least back to like 91, maybe even the mid 80s.
I mean, hopefully, what happens is it just goes down nonstop until earnings in July, when they talk about having to do a share dilution, at which point they drop to $40 by end of year.
Which
And
was
then,
which was interesting because at the prior earnings they talked about diluting and then they didn't, and everyone got super bullish on it again.
yeah, so the moment they dilute, it's going to go back to $40 a share over the next 8 months, and then it's going to go to zero because they have no money.
The only thing I could think of for them not diluting already at these prices would be that insiders are selling. Ooh, we should check that. What are insiders doing on Carvana?
Besides fraud, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously fraud.
Every time I'm not here or I'm late, you guys are talking about some meme stock?
Well, Carvana's not a meme stock.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, they're not. They're like the focal point of the used car industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like what CarMax was, but shittier.
Okay, so Ernest C. Garcia II has been selling 60,000 shares a day every day for the last like week and a half.
Oh God. Dude is cashing out, bro.
So 1.6 million shares sold by insiders in the last 3 months. 350,000 shares bought by insiders. So net negative 1.35 million shares sold.
That's only 1% of the free float, dude. It's nothing.
There's a lot of reasons to sell, but there's only one reason to buy.
Wait, there's a reason to buy?
Is you're bullish.
I'm not. I have puts.
Somebody is.
How's your back?
Not great.
I didn't use any of those tweets, by the way.
I know. I could see your cursor still blinking in the snapshot. I'm not a moron.
I didn't know which one to use, and you didn't tell me, so
I didn't see him till just like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I passed out after I told you I might not show up.
You should get some lidocaine patches from CVS and just slap them all over your back.
I actually have some of those. I can't remember if I already told this story before. I probably did, but the last time this happened, I was in Houston for something, and I was at a hotel.
Yeah, I remember when it happened.
And I had to, I did like Uber Eats to do like CVS to get like, ibuprofen and like those lidocaine patches or what, icy hot or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And someone got it and drove up, and then the people downstairs wouldn't let them up. And they called me, and I was like, okay, I get your policy, but my back is like...
Why wouldn't the hotel just take it and bring it up to you?
Well, they were like, well, I can bring it up, but I'm really busy.
What does that mean?
It might be a while, and I'm like...
Were you staying at a Motel 6?
No.
Oh.
And, okay, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, Jay Christian's quite a guy. He's got to go, and his kid is he's laying on his back, not able to move, and his kid is jumping up and down on his head.
I think I told him the last time he did this to alternate hot and cold showers, because he's actually pinching a nerve.
I mean,
Or he could self-medicate with ketamine.
We don't need another Elon. And he'll go there so fast.
So, anyways, yeah, I think to wrap up Carvana, I think it's going to zero in the next 2 years, but
that's a fair take. I am, however, a little more cautious about the near term on it. I do think it's very bearish, and I think it's got a decent amount of room to the downside, but I do think it could recover because summer and cars.
You're right. Yeah, you're totally right.
The cyclical seasonality there helps them quite a lot, and so I would be cautious of their next earnings. They could still have one more good pump in them before they go out of business.
Yeah.
They don't have to go out of business. They could just dilute the float 100 million shares.
Yeah, I expect either one of those to happen, right? If they do a huge dilution, the volatility on my contract spikes and I sell it and I make a bunch of money.
Sure.
Okay.
So
I'm back.
Here's a question from Helios. Why would it crash? I think he's referring to Nvidia. What about the split makes it bearish? Wouldn't it be cheaper for normies to get in, be bullish? So Nvidia is the absolute favorite stepchild of the dispersion trade. And because of that, a significant amount of the volatility on Nvidia is sold, or well, long, on the leap contracts. And those carry a ton of delta, right? And so as price improves, that delta goes up, the MM hedges up, and that drives Nvidia's price. When the options chain splits, that all of those positions will be abandoned and they will not refill immediately. And because of that, splits can be quite bearish, especially when they're coming on the back of such a crazy bull run. We saw a similar effect with GME going into its split. We've seen it on Tesla in 2023 with their second split. We even saw it a little bit after Nvidia's last split, although it did spike first before then crashing really hard. And so yeah, when all of that options interest expires, it doesn't always come right back. And without that delta there to support the price, it's far more impacted by sell-offs. Sell-offs beget more sell-offs, and you can get a significant decline in price. Historically, if you look at studies that have been done on forward splits, they tend to be quite bearish in the short term, and more bullish in the long term. So over a holding period of 2 to 5 years, a stock that splits will outperform. But in the short term, that stock will probably lose a significant amount of its prior value, and that's largely due to that. Probably largely due to that effect and the ones that they've studied. Anybody want to add to that?
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, yeah, and it is Nvidia, right? So like,
it is.
I think it's going to behave differently than most stock splits just for that reason alone. I don't know if it's probably not going to be super bullish though, just because of IV tanking. But if you're actually bullish Nvidia, that's something you kind of want to see, right? Because lower. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say after me trying to explain to people till I was red in the face that the GME split doesn't add value to the company as it goes up and up and up and up into the split, I'm not going to do that again. Nobody's going to rocket on this all the way up to the split. After the split, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I would say that it's going to. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm going to look around the Nvidia split to see what financial conditions are like and how leveraged up dispersion is. And if I feel like financial conditions are still really tight and margin risk is coming at a premium and dispersion's a bit overloaded, I'll probably be pretty bearish on Nvidia post split. If financial conditions are softer by the time they split, and it's easier to gain leverage, then it'll probably have a bullish split, right? Because everyone's gonna just load back up into the dispersion. And if financial conditions are tight, they won't. And so that's really what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. At the same time, now, I mean, XAI, the Elon Musk AI type thing,
Mm-hmm.
just announced that they raised $6 billion from a lot of the same private equity morons that are just pumping money into AI. So that money is probably going directly to Nvidia to buy chips, because what else are they going to do with $6 billion?
Yeah.
So
Dude,
Nvidia's going to beat again.
the craziest thing is that, like, you hear people saying in earnest that giant piles of money being dumped into this industry is going to directly lead to a boom in the technology
Like EVs, right?
and the internet.
Because we put all that money into EVs and EV infrastructure, and now everyone owns and drives an electric vehicle, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
we put the money in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Same with the Theranos. You know, Theranos
Yeah.
is how we all do blood testing now, because they just needed the money to make the technology, and then they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the same exact thing.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
You know what I just realized yesterday, and this is going to be a little bit off topic, which is perfect because we have way too many viewers.
Right.
I think Elon Musk became a libertarian extreme right winger in order to sell more electric vehicles to the exact people that would never buy them.
I think you're right.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, there was a pretty hard shift from Elon there, from nerdy like techno goth, bald nerdy techno goth, into hardcore libertarian right winger. And before he became a hardcore libertarian right winger, you probably wouldn't see an electric vehicle south of the Mason-Dixon line, especially not a Tesla. And then afterwards, everywhere.
Can confirm.
Yep.
Everywhere.
I would
Like
actually say
game,
that
you know,
90% of Cybertrucks have been bought in the southern part of the United States, in the reddest districts.
Well, yeah, because only people in the South buy trucks for the glamour.
Yeah. Well, the Midwest
I
can confirm that as well.
The Midwest, well, the West is part of the Midwest. Dork.
I guess. Yeah, like if you're talking about like rich portions of the foothills on the West Coast, you definitely see people driving trucks that are impossible to park, but they're taking them to Trader Joe's anyways.
I didn't know that was there's another commonality between California and Texas.
It's a commonality amongst people who need to compensate for something.
They're basically the same state. I've spent some time in both. They're not very different. Yeah. And California has better weather. But yeah, that's just where Texans move when they have money or more money.
Yeah, the amount of shit that has been kicked with the shit kickers that I see on people who are driving giant lifted trucks that are spotless with off-road tires on street rims is a very high proportion in California. Except if you go to like Lincoln, then you actually get some shit kicking fuckers walking around. But yeah, and like in like Rockland, dude, Rockland's got so many bro dozers everywhere, it's crazy. Like just
bro dozers.
The most lifted trucks you've ever seen, like wide body kits, fucking dualies that like are just lifted, to the bejesus. And
my favorite are the ones that have like the little automatic like toddler stairs to help you get in. They,
yeah, right.
You open the door and they like slide out. and then you can like kind of hop up into your car like a toddler trying to wash his hands.
But I
See,
thought,
like, why do we need trucks
hold
like
on.
that?
If you're not mounting your truck like a rodeo bull, like, I feel like you're losing. That just defeats the purpose of owning the truck.
Okay, Girk, I just realized how we're going to become billionaires. It's
What?
so easy. So we make a truck that is the size of a 2-story house.
Oh my god! Wait, somebody already did that.
No, but we mass produce it.
How would
Oh.
you? It wouldn't fit under highways.
Who gives a shit? People are going to buy it.
Doesn't need to.
Doesn't even need to go on the road.
They can just take pictures at like overpasses and put it on their Instagram and be like, my truck's so fucking big, I can't even get it in this hole. You know they will. You know
once
they
I get
will.
in once I get in the 1% class too, I'm gonna get a super crazy lifted F350 dually. I'm gonna swap out the engine for an electric engine. I'm gonna cover it in all kinds of ultra left wing bumper stickers and anime waifu stuff, like those wraps that people get because they're really weird and they put them on their Subarus.
I've seen
Get
that.
some of that on there. A giant rainbow flag in it, and I'm gonna put an EV,
Wait,
converted car on the side, and I'm gonna drive that around.
I saw.
let me go back
I was.
wait, hold on. I want to make sure I understand exactly what you're talking about. People are putting like graphics of waifus on their Subarus.
Yeah, but they're not
Extremely suggestive
NFTs.
ones. Yeah, non-NFT.
So I was actually going to say I was in Midtown yesterday and I saw a Honda Civic wrapped in hentai cum shots.
People do this.
Yep.
That's how you know J-Pop printed too much money.
Isn't that like a crime?
You'd think, but
Yeah,
no, because it's
yeah.
a cartoon.
Yeah, drooling anime women, anime titties all over it, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't need to know what they're called, Sistani.
Do they have a name?
Yeah. Tasha.
Oh, I just call them losers. Oh man, a car as a means of self-expression is an exercise in folly at best.
That's kind of a poor person thing to do, actually.
I think
Yeah.
I think I'm glad that I live in a world where guys who are jerking it to hentai all day want everyone to know. Because I wouldn't want those. I wouldn't want to be surprised, right? Like I want that person to pull up in a car and I'm like, that guy jerks it to hentai all day. I don't want to. I don't want to know him for 3 months and then he's like, hey man, I want to tell you something. And then just out of left field, right? It's so much better this way because then I know to never speak to them in the first place.
Very true.
It's clearly true. But I think the best means of self-expression with a car as a flex on others is just by having someone else drive you around.
Having a driver is a class act.
So having an Uber account?
No, it's totally different, Jay Fresh.
It's got to be like a chauffeur.
Somebody on the payroll.
Yeah, and he's like also your buddy.
Yeah.
And he's also Jason Statham, so he's gonna kick a bunch of ass if someone tries to steal you.
Got it.
That's going too far.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think I'd want my chauffeur to be able to kick my ass.
I mean, I would want my chauffeur to.
It might actually be a qualification for the job, is like making sure that they're not physically capable of kicking my ass.
Dude, I would want like an ex-special forces freaking nutbag driving me around.
See,
because they're gonna, if shit gets hot, they're just gonna freaking defensive drive their way out of it like a crazy person.
You never know what's gonna happen there, right? Like you could end up in like a double murder homicide because some guy flips them off on the highway. It's too risky. You want to just playing with fire at that point.
I mean, it's kind of true. It's a little true, but I mean, it's a trade-off, right? Everything's a trade-off. There's risks and rewards, right? The risk, your driver may go on a psychotic rampage because, he couldn't, one of his shoelaces was chewed off by his dog. Or well, and the
Did that happen? It
report
seems.
is
Did your shoelace get eaten by your dog just recently?
no. I
Do you
just
have
thought
a
of something
dog?
that was very banal. I don't have a dog.
You have
Oh,
a
okay.
cat, right?
I have a cat.
Yeah.
Dork's a
She
cat
likes
person.
she's got this habit now where she's been scratching on the stairs, and I got to figure out how to fix that.
You know what you do? Give it something else to scratch. Positive reinforcement. Get
I
a
have
scratching post. Put it right by the
I have
stairs.
I have that going on, and I have a sacrificial office chair that has been ripped down to the plywood base because she scratches on it so much. And it's because she's like spazzing out, you know, she's like running around and then she grabs onto the stairs because she wants to grip something and fucking rip off it to launch off somewhere else. So it's not really scratching, it's just fucking spazzing.
You don't declaw cats? What kind of sick fuck are you?
Yeah, that's not a thing. Well, it is a thing, but it's not a recommended thing anymore.
We should only declaw humans, right? Like if you get charged with sexual assault or something, you get declawed.
They take your fingernails?
They take you down a knuckle, right?
Down to the wrist.
Damn.
Well, no, you want them to be able to perform menial tasks so they can keep contributing to the economy. But you also don't want them to have nails anymore.
I mean, as long as they can operate a prompt.
That's true. We just give them an AI pin.
Oh my god. Are we We should reach out to Geo and see if we can use prison labor for AI. Has anybody done this yet?
I mean, we've got to find a cheaper way to be meta tagging all this data.
Hold on, I got Michael Burry on the phone. He just called me. I think he's watching the stream.
He was long FSLR. I beat him.
Oh, dude.
Officially
FSLR was amazing.
Officially earlier than Burry. Or on time? More on time than Burry. He was early.
Does Jay Fresh know I have a meta call?
I mean, now he does.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, Jay Fresh. All right, I'm done talking about it. We already talked about the meme stocks.
Are you gonna hold that bad boy through earnings? What is it?
I'm gonna hold that bad boy through Wednesday.
Cat plus bag plus river equals problem solved. So many parts to that equation. Dork,
Okay,
we already established Dork doesn't have any rivers. He lives in the desert.
Fuck off. There's the Truckee. Got one river in Nevada.
How often does it have water in it, though?
The Truckee River's got tons of water. It's actually pretty dangerous right now because of the snow melt.
Yeah, but I thought it fucking dried up the other summer. Like it was down to the riverbed.
Super low. It was down in a lot of places, like in downtown, like that spot where you can swim in Reno. It was really low, so you could get out pretty far, and like you're only really like, I think the deepest it got was like waist deep in one spot, which is like normally you can't touch the bottom. But yeah, I mean, in the rivers up in the actual mountains are just like so full and dangerous and roiling rapids that it's honestly quite awe-inspiring to look at like a snow melt waterfall that's just overflowing with water. Kind of blows your mind.
I never expected. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, especially when you've jumped into that waterfall before, and now it just looks like pure death.
Excuse me. How am I turning into the crazy cat lady that talks to everyone at the supermarket? It's just not cool to declaw cats.
Yeah, it hasn't been cool for a really long time.
Yeah. What's that thing What's the thing they do to dogs? I don't even fucking like dogs, but like the tail
debarking.
Docking. Oh yeah, the debarking too. Terrible. Yeah, they like cut their voice box out or some shit.
Trim the ears, trim the tail, all that stuff. No,
yeah.
People aren't.
That's just fucked up. Like, just put your dog to sleep if you don't like him. You
Be
can pull out their bark box. Yeah, that's correct. Popcorn.
It's so,
It just
it's so
causes
fucked
like
up.
it's a great way to screw up your animal because I mean, there's a lot of defensive instincts that you are cutting off with it, which causes a lot of anxiety, of course, because then they can't do the things that make them feel safe, like climb a tree with their claws.
Or yell at somebody like a dog with a bark box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I mean, and just think about it, if it was you and you just were like, you know what, my nails, right? They're really scratching up this coffee table. I'm just gonna cut my fingers off down to the
No,
first
think
number.
about it if it was your parents.
Thanks,
You know,
Dave.
like this kid's really annoying. I'm gonna cut
Yeah.
his tips of his fingers off so he stops doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm also going to cut out his voice box. And his ears are a little big, so I'm going to cut them off too while I'm at it.
Are we going for a PETA sponsorship right now?
No, I
Maybe.
just ate sausage.
Oh, okay.
Is it ethical sausage?
I don't know.
That's not a real thing.
That's true. A sausage is just
Declawing a
unethical
cat is like taking guns away from a gun owner.
Damn straight.
Kinda, yeah.
All right, there's only 10 people left.
Really? That's awesome.
No, I'm kidding. There's way more than that. Unfortunately, I think we've actually gained a few viewers throughout this conversation. People feel strongly about animal rights.
Well, I mean, it's directly tied to the stock market too, you know? Like, a lot of people in here are trying to figure out whether or not to buy Beyond calls, so, you know, this is highly relevant.
Is it though?
This conversation is making me uncomfortable. Good. It's good to talk about things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is actually.
That's the sign of a worthwhile conversation.
Exactly. No, I don't get our averse disposition to discourse in today's day and age. I mean, like, discourse and, you know, understanding other positions as well as your own and improving that understanding through the process of communicating it to other people is one of the most powerful things we as a species have evolved to be able to do.
Pickle Financial, we care about cats for some reason. It's the cats are the contrarian play. Haven't you seen all the people that are like bullish dogs, but they fucking hate cats? But you never see cat people out there like, I fucking hate dogs. They need to be drowned, or I'm gonna go out and find them all and neuter them, right? It's always cats.
That only happens.
Cats are getting all the. Everyone's short cats, so we're just playing the contrarian side.
All the cat owners, Girk, are the ones that are out at the park that don't have any animals with them, and then they see two dog owners walking by each other, and their dogs just flip out, and they just can't get a handle on anything, and it's just pure chaos. That's when all the cat owners think to themselves, we should just drown all the dogs.
Don't you hate dogs? Yeah. Because someone has to. It's not. I'm just trying to even the balance. Also, they're annoying. Calls on JDAMs?
Why?
What?
I don't know. I'm just reading shit people are writing.
Is he bullish on war?
Let's talk about AI child slaves again. That was last time. It's old news.
The Romans' definition of justice was lex talionis Sisyphus, and which translates roughly to an eye for an eye. But in a properly functioning society, lex talionis has to be bent.
How can you hate a dog? They're annoying, but they're so sweet.
What the hell did you just say?
Who?
That's the nerdiest thing I've ever heard.
The nerdiest thing you've ever heard?
Dork spends a lot of time thinking about the Roman Empire.
That's a meme I don't want to bring back at all. I don't spend any time thinking about it.
At all.
Except when I'm on Twitter and people are thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, why are people thinking about it? And then my wife, like a week after that meme is dead, it's like, hey, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
You know what, Jay Fresh? I think about it
Like, I'm
fairly
trying
often.
not to, but everybody keeps asking that question.
That was like a meme on the stream for a while. Like everyone was like, "Hey, Girk, are you thinking about the Roman Empire?" And I was like, "No, no one ever does that."
We had like an hour-long discussion about the Roman Empire and their eventual total collapse, and I thought that was going to be enough to kill it.
Yeah, talking about how like like all empires eventually collapse under their own like debt and war, and that's been
Is
as
that what the
overdone
meme
as
is?
talking about that's as overdone as talking about how Nazis were bad. Like, we get it.
Why are cat owners subsidizing dog ownership? I'm confused.
I'm gonna need more context on that as
Yeah.
well.
How do you feel about watching Gladiator movies? I mean, there's only one Gladiator movie that matters, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like they just perfected Gladiator movie. There's no reason to ever make another one.
Yeah. No, they don't need to make a new one.
I
Cat
wish they
calls
would
this
push up
week.
about that fucking
Should we
gas
look at
tank.
Cat? Cat still looks kind of bearish. Are we gonna talk about
The whole
stocks again?
market looks
I wasn't even gonna
kind
talk
of.
about stocks again today.
We don't have to. We can turn something.
Wait, Jay Fresh. Wait, I'd love some tips on figuring out how my drip system works if you have any.
Oh, yeah. What's wrong with your drip system?
Well, I don't know which zones in my sprinkler control system they are, so I have a couple like just random like drip hoses just poking out of the ground. I have two of them. I was gonna just punch a hole in them and then like turn on the sprinkler zones and see which ones like just squirt water out of them, like when you turn on certain zones. And then I could figure out my drip system. But do you have a better way of figuring out which zones are which?
Well, if you're gonna do that, make sure you have a connector. You can go to Home Depot and get them for real cheap. Just get a handful of them.
Yeah, I was just gonna
So
get
you
like
can
an
repair it.
elbow and then a bunch of cap.
The easier way would be to just turn on one zone and then go around and figure out where the water's coming. Just
But
drip,
the water's
drip.
it's all
Just
cap.
pick the drip line up.
Well, it's no this. So one of the drip lines goes underneath a giant rock wall.
Okay, that
So
sounds.
I can't pull it up. So I'm gonna cut it and I'm just gonna run it not up the giant rock.
Where is it? Where is it dripping?
It's not dripping anywhere, I don't think. Like
You
it was
might be
installed, but
no.
the owner never did anything with it.
It was owner installed. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. If you're like really, if there's something like that where you can't just pick up the hose or the line while the zone's on, yeah, you can cut it. Just get and they have little joining connectors. So just join two hoses. You don't have to do a corner. I wouldn't do a corner unless you need to, because you'll.
I need to, yeah. I'm gonna do an elbow, just a couple to another piece of 1/2 inch, and then run that along the back of the backyard.
Yeah, yeah. If you're gonna be cutting it up and changing it anyway, yeah, just slice it open and stick it up in the air.
Yeah. Good shit.
The other alternative could be that I mean, do you know that all your solenoid valves are working correctly?
I know that all the ones for my sprinkler system are, but obviously that zone, I mean, that valve probably has never been opened, so I might have some trouble with it. And the hard
Yeah,
part is,
who knows if it's even connected?
This
yeah,
isn't
right.
about gardening, Tim. This is about lawn care maintenance.
Yeah, and then I'm also going to use soaker hoses, Jay Fresh. What are your opinions on those?
Soaker hoses for what?
I'm going to run some concentric rings around a couple of young trees in the backyard, and that's what I'm going to primarily run the drip system for. But then eventually, I'm going to use them in my bed as well for my raised garden beds. But I've heard that the soaker hoses are good because then you're not spraying water up onto the leaves, which can get burned by the sunlight.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I'm too lazy to change my sprayers after I installed some trees, and by the end of the summer, the ones at the bottom are a little burned. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that if you're gonna do that.
Right on. Yeah, no, I was having some fun thinking about like, using the 1/4 inch like plastic tubing and then doing like a 4-way T, then popping off like a ring of the soaker hose and then doing like another little section, then popping off another ring with just like a 3-way T. So I have like 2 concentric rings that I'm soaking through. Get a little more even coverage
Yeah,
that
just
way.
whatever you do, yeah, just make sure you do a loop. Everything should be on a loop, or else the far end of your ring is gonna have low pressure and the water's gonna be maldistributed.
All right, that's enough.
Okay.
Yep. That's,
We were just getting the good stuff though, Kirk.
yeah, I know, but as soon as I don't care anymore.
That's fair.
Uh, um, yeah, the stock market doesn't really look that bullish right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
that
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that fucking drop on Thursday was honestly pretty ridiculous. The whole day on Thursday was kind of ridiculous, but it's not exactly
Yeah.
bullish.
Well, the MM went like long Vana a little bit on Thursday. Our recovery wasn't very strong, but we are up 23 points on ES
Yeah, I saw that.
in the holiday trading. So, we're probably just going to push back into the sold calls again. I was going to answer that guy's question about Cat. Cat looks pretty bearish, but it can still bounce unless it gets a failure around like 343. If it drops below 343, it's probably going to keep dropping for some time. So I would maybe wait before taking any kind of entry on it. And like look for a failure like right around there. But if it fails that, yeah, it should be pretty bad. What happens after the election? Actually, I think from a volatility perspective, the period when the election season picks up is going to be a lot more interesting because we're gonna get a lot of like speculative volatility surrounding like whoever's doing better in the polls at the time. And policy wise, I would say that the two parties aren't very different anymore, but there will be like some volatility, especially in certain sectors. Um, the closer we get to the election, and the more speculation on which candidate is going to win. But that's pretty common for like election, like the back half of election years, which could be interesting given how short vol is.
Yeah. I mean,
I explained the dog subsidy thing.
oh,
Pet fee
okay,
for
go through
cats
that.
and
Let's see it.
dogs, $500 and 50 extra per month. Only a dog park, no cat park. Dogs stink and bark and uncivilized. Cats stay inside. Cat owners are subsidizing dog ownership. Maybe just taxpayers are subsidizing dog ownership because who's keeping up the dog parks? Taxpayers. Who goes? Do people actually go to dog parks? I mean, I know they do in the city because there's no land, but like other places.
Yeah, people go to dog parks.
That's weird.
I know, but people do.
Why would you go to a dog park if you have a yard?
Well, a lot of people don't have much of a yard. They can get
Yeah,
big space for them to run around.
I guess so. Yeah, so
Some people
okay, but you're in
afford.
a city. In a city, it makes sense.
Even like not in a big city. Like if you, I don't know, if you don't have a fence, if you don't have a huge yard, and you want your dog to just like go hog wild, if you want it to have friends to run around with,
I think it's so
takes
dog
some
people
energy
can
out.
meet other dog people. Like a
That's another aspect of it too. Sometimes people like go and make a whole event out of it.
like a dog Tinder.
Yeah, dog tour.
To socialize your dog.
Yeah, you really should be socializing them when they're young, but
cat owners go
I don't like dog
nuts.
parks because there's always like that one person who brings their dog that is not dog socialized. It's like, is it gonna like just flip out and eat a little one?
I would just hang out at dog parks waiting for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
How often does
Maybe.
that happen? Does that happen a lot? Like just a big
I
dog's
don't
just
think
like,
it
I'm gonna
happens
eat
a
this
lot.
little
It's just every once in a while somebody comes up with like a terrible idea to bring their dog that should not be at a dog park.
to a
And it
dog
just
park.
becomes uncomfortable. It just becomes a liability, and everyone's on edge. And usually, it's just a bad time for all.
Interesting.
Yeah, dog parks are really cool in concept, but absolutely a terrible idea if you have, you know, any sort of desire to keep your dog safe, because it's just, you're injecting so much chaos.
There's a big dog
into
section
the-
and a small dog section. I don't think they're all divided so equally. I think a lot of them, you just have big dogs and small dogs, same space. Which seems, you know, from a natural pecking order perspective, like a terrible idea. Like, oh, I'm gonna bring my toy poodle to this dog park with, you know, a 300-pound Great Dane. Nothing bad'll happen.
Some parks will have like a little dog area. So, which then begs the question of like, why are people bringing their little dogs to a park if they don't need a big area to put them in?
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting. Dog parks are like a box of chocolate. Anyway, so yeah, cat looks kind of bearish. Do we want to talk about all the calls on SPX still being sold?
Sure. Yeah, there's a big fat pile of sold calls. Nobody cares, and they seem to be staying there and getting larger. From like 53.25 on up to like 53.75, 5400. So, yeah. And like we've already run up against it multiple times and we just fell right back down.
Which makes it seem like any upside move is just a good opportunity to sell calls.
Yeah. I mean, until it's not, right?
Yeah,
We'll
until
see.
they all get squeezed out.
We're sitting at like max leverage on sold puts too. So yeah, we're just kind of like at that point where we're at the end of the leash and we're trying to tug on the leash. So
here, I
we
pulled
need
up a chart from our project so people can visualize where all the sold calls are. All of those SODL.
Which one are you showing right now?
SPXW.
Hold on. Let me go on the stream. I gotta know what you're giving away here.
The good stuff.
The chart looks so good.
3 reports down.
Yeah.
Welcome to Billionaire.
You're not showing the oh shoot. I'm hearing two different. Okay, so you're not okay. So you're showing the good stuff, but not the real good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Relax.
I'm relaxed now.
I don't want your back to get worse.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's correct. Those are all sold.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which we've been saying for a while now, and I feel like that's been proven true by the most recent price action, where we have just consistently run into that wall of sold calls and not gone any higher. We did break higher Thursday morning, and the call sellers did not like that, and then we sold off super, super hard. What does the market have to do right now to gap all over all those sold calls and shoot us to 5,500? Well, a gap to 5,500 would do it.
Yeah, I mean, if futures keep going and we just gap over, sure.
Yeah. But I feel like if we land anywhere, like if we don't gap up enough, a la Thursday morning, we just get crushed right back down again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, something's going to have to give, right? I mean, people are going to have to reposition to try to go for another push. I mean, it's also largely dependent on zero DTEs, which for the most part have just been not enough to overcome this big fat call wall. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to go up a lot more than it is now, but obviously nobody's selling. So where else is it going to go over time?
Yeah.
Well, zero DTEs, I mean, they're not used for pumpies. It's super risky. They're used to compress price action.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, but one side will usually be a little more lopsided than the other, and that kind of pushes it in one direction.
Right, yeah, there's a little bit of drift, but yeah, the drift tends to go up. So I mean, like, if
yeah, the sold put side tends to be a little bit more aggressive because the sold call side is very it's pretty much all very tight spreads on the call side, and then on the put side, people are more emboldened to go a little more naked than maybe they should, and so that little extra oomph kind of pushes it over the edge. But the call side, people are very risk averse. They're selling very tight spreads, so those can.
well, yeah, because I got.
Oh, you know what I could show people? I could show people Charm for this week.
Your PP?
Well, yeah, I could do that too, but not on YouTube. But we could take a look at Charm, and it kind of tells us we're probably going to trade right where we're at for the rest of the week.
Nice.
Yeah, that tends to be how it goes. Yeah, basically what he's showing there is there's a similar amount of charm below and above us, which means that they're both going to kind of decay at the same rate, and charm isn't a huge factor. We're just going to kind of sit here.
Yep.
Saddle up, partner.
Yeah, everything's telling me this is going to be a saddle. People are going to try to push up over that call wall. I don't know how successful they're going to be. And
that's a big fucking call wall.
It's like those cartoon fights where like they're both exhausted and they can barely raise their fists to punch each other. Like that's kind of where we're at.
Heavyweight boxing in round 3.
Yeah, they're just like arms at their side, just like slumped over. Just it takes all their might just to lift one arm and like kind of fling a wrist at someone.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at.
You got kind of the right idea there, Sisyphus. So between like 52.75 and 53.25, we're likely just to oscillate between those 2 points. And this is into Friday's expiration. And remember, we have a short week, so like historically realized vol is going to be shitty anyway. And this is, we could continue seeing this into summer, and it further into the summer, which lends more and more credence to the whole like sell in May kind of thing. And we, generally through the summer months, you get less overall interest. Like there's just less OI, less volume.
But Girk, there was a guy on Twitter who said that having positive price action in May means that the stock market goes up.
I hate that fucking guy so much.
86% of the time.
Yeah. The other 9 times this happened, it went up all 9 times. Okay. 9 is not statistically significant. What's your
nothing that guy says is statistically significant.
My favorite is because I'm assuming we're talking about Ryan Dietrich.
Yeah.
The last time he was on TV, he actually had like a Whoville haircut. He had like little twirls in the front of his. And I just posted a picture of the mayor of Whoville. It was great.
What I want to know is how did he build out such a robust system for backtesting stupid market predictions.
I think he does it by hand. I think
He does it all day, every day.
That's all he does.
Yeah.
He just
Well,
sits there and he's
we've
like,
got
I'm gonna
the-
look for all the Mays in S&P history that were positive.
Yeah. So just want to make this clear. When the mayor of Whoville goes on CNBC to say how bullish they are, still not the top.
Not the top. Got it.
He paid someone to do it? No. Nobody would do that for money.
Oh, did you hear about the Kylie Jenner or not Kylie Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner scandal?
No, what
That
happened?
happened, I guess, this morning. It unfolded very quickly.
This is exciting.
This is also a not the top story. So Caitlyn Jenner apparently got in touch with someone. I don't know how they did or who this person is or what sort of convincing it took to like engage in this partnership. But Caitlyn Jenner partnered with some rando on the internet to release a shitcoin.
Are we long?
No, I think it's it's unfolded so quickly. I think I missed all of it. But basically, she had a promotional video of herself hyping her coin. No actual like what it does or anything. It's just she's launching a coin.
Okay.
And it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
You know, normal crypto stuff. And apparently this guy is like, well, it turns out he's like a scammer, and so now he's like pumping and dumping this coin, like just selling this coin into all of her followers. And yeah, I think the last time I checked, it was still at like a 25 million market cap, but
that's pretty impressive for something that's worth $0.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing was that like for a while, because people, as people were getting dumped on, they were like, "Oh, this guy's a scammer," and this Caitlyn Jenner video, is AI generated, but the video was not AI generated.
Oh shit!
You could tell it was real, but people were like, "Oh, it's a deep fake. She didn't actually release the shitcoin and screw all of us with a stupid crypto coin." And yeah, she did. she didn't realize what she was doing, but yeah. Maybe don't go long a crypto shitcoin released by a washed up old Olympic whatever lawyer, figure skater. I don't know what the hell she did.
It's like a gymnast or runner. I don't remember.
I thought she was like a skier.
No, I think she was a diver.
This is before my time. Runner. Yeah, like track and field, decathlon, decathlete.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess
everybody knows what she did. This is great.
Hold on. Now, there is a positive to all this, right? There is a place where the grass is green. She'll finally be able to pay off those damages to that person that she ran over.
Ooh, I didn't know she did that.
Just crowdfunding the judgment there.
I thought the Goop lady ran over someone.
Probably. They all do that, right? Matthew Broderick did too. Never forget the people that Hollywood has run over with their vehicles, guys.
Yeah. Well, probably somewhat intoxicated.
Usually.
Just this is no better sign of a mania than.
I wish Vin Diesel would come out with a Paul Walker coin.
Oh God.
I'd buy that. Too soon. Sorry. We could call it family coin.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm the only one who seems to have this opinion, because it seems like it should not be this controversial. Paul Walker was one of the most unwatchable actors of all time.
Yes. He had rich parents, though.
Like, he looked like he was just monotonically reading his lines from a piece of paper during his movies. Like, it was just, I couldn't, it it made it unfun completely. It ruined the movie, which I don't understand how they made like 12 more of them after he ruined the first one.
Because
They
14-year-old
probably actually got
boys
better when
into
he
putting
stopped acting in them.
well, 14-year-old boys who want to put spoilers on their 1996 Civic that they're going to get for their 16th birthday love those movies. They have fast cars and women in them and buff men. And this is what 14-year-old boys are into. Or
Yeah,
were.
but I mean, like, why don't they just watch?
He did have great
like,
hair.
those... Yeah,
He
if
had
you're
great...
into like fast cars and women, just get like one of those voyeur sex van uh, videos online where people have sex in a car.
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Seems
everything's a
uncomfortable.
thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's the internet.
If you if it exists, then there's porn of it somewhere.
True. He also liked young girls like Drake, Paul Walker, or Vin Diesel. Both.
See, this is what happens when there's nothing to talk about in the market. The market's boring as hell. It's flat.
Yeah. Yep.
Calls.
Are we just going projecting 5,300 for the end of the week?
It sounds good.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, we were like, I really thought we were gonna have. I mean, this is something we could talk about because it was really interesting, and maybe you already talked about it on the during the week when it happened. I wasn't really able to watch the streams, but the day when Nvidia went up 10% and everything else went down.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was one of the most awesome things I've ever seen.
Nvidia might have kept the vol from squeezing.
Well, so here's the thing. I think what it was is we're still being pinned largely by short vol, right? Just pinned in place. And so when you squeeze down on the indexes like that, right, everything else has to squeeze out left and right. So you think about like a sandwich, like you're squeezing all the like jelly out of it. And to keep the index flat, then you have to have like hold on a second. Then you have to get like you have to make sure that all of the constituents add up to like 0, right? And so you have index flat, and then everybody's pumping Nvidia, which just was forcing. It was the Nvidia pump was big enough that it forced literally just everything else down the other way to keep the index flat. And so that's kind of what we were seeing was this strange dispersion effect where everything has to sum to 0 and people are pumping Nvidia, and it was big enough that it made pretty much the entire rest of the market go red. Which was kind of fascinating to me to actually see that. That was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on the market.
Well, we could talk about how bad all the data was last week. It was terrible. Not that the market cares, but it was bad. Like durables were still hot.
Was it good, or was it bad because it was bad?
It was bad because it was bad. Durables were hot. PMIs were up, so more overheating, right?
So good.
Fed minutes were awful. They're super hawkish.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore, though.
Yeah, I know.
We're at the point where nothing bad has happened for long enough that only good things can happen.
Well,
people are freaking out.
That's what we're pricing in, right?
Yeah. People are freaking out over like 50-point drops, and like you even saw on like Thursday when it dropped, you could see that perfect scallop turn. I was looking at that happen at the end of the day, and I was like, this thing's gonna rocket tomorrow. And sure enough, it went right back up. I even said that morning, I looked at the chain briefly, and I was like, it looks like they want this to go back to 53.20. And I almost made it there, made it to like 53.12, and then kind of pooped out. But yeah, hit those calls, and then it just died. But yeah, even on that big, huge drop, like they just sold a shitload of puts into it.
Yeah.
It just popped right back up.
Well, puts were
So,
finally worth
nope.
selling, right? Which
Yeah.
they really
So
hadn't been.
there's no risk management. Everybody's just full bull, selling puts as free money, and nothing bad ever happens. It reminds me actually of I think it's the Lego Batman movie. I'm trying to remember which Lego movie it is, but it's like near the beginning of the movie. I think it's near the beginning of the Lego Batman movie where there's just a guy at a toll booth and he's just sitting there on an empty road at night, just singing "Nothing bad ever happens to me," and then something bad happens to him. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's
I
more
mean,
like
it's
a-
ironically,
like a-
it's in situations like this where indexes are most vulnerable to surprises, right? So
Well, yeah,
it's
because
yeah.
everybody's on one side of the trade.
But the data should keep getting better, right? That's what my Fed chairman said. Well, he didn't exactly say that. He said he thinks things might get better, but he's not sure that they will. He's used the word bumpy more often than a waxing esthetician in the same given period of time. No, he's pretty much always wrong. Actually, well, he's been completely wrong on every major policy decision he's ever made.
Wait, Sisyphus, are you implying that I'm the only one who's seen the Lego Batman movie? If you guys haven't seen the Lego Batman movie, you absolutely should watch it. It's a very good movie.
I've seen part of it, I think.
It's better than the actual Lego movies, and those are pretty good too.
I need a couch. Does anyone have any Rex? I want something soft and luxurious. Get something that's...
That can also be answered by the Lego Movie 1, double-decker couch.
I was gonna say get something made from real leather that's 8-way hand tied. That's the way to go.
You know he's just gonna go to Ashley Furniture and pick out the first couch that's in the cheap section.
Yeah, I know. Anything to preview for Pickles Picks? I mean, we went over a bunch of stuff today. We went over Meta, a little bit over Netflix. We talked about Apple and Amazon. We went over Cat. I think we've covered a lot. Oh, somebody did ask me about EPAM. EPAM's been kind of getting shit on, but now Putin's talking about like trying to negotiate a ceasefire where Russia gets to keep everything they invaded, and then like, but also Ukraine just stops attacking their oil refineries and nuclear deterrence bases. That was something interesting that happened over the weekend. Besides, you know, Israel and Palestine reigniting shit. Some Ukrainian drone took out one of the like Russian early detection radar systems, which is technically a threat against their, like, they could escalate, right? Because it's they're putting a hole in their nuclear defense, right? And so a lot of people are speculating that Russia may use tactical nukes because of that. Do we want to talk about? Do we care? I mean, well,
I mean, I don't think Russia's going to use nukes.
They're doing tactical nukes. They've been doing
rattling.
Yeah, they've been like doing drills on the border of a bunch of NATO countries. And I agree, it is saber rattling. But once you start attacking their nuclear deterrence infrastructure, they might get a lot less rattly and just start pulling sabers.
I don't know. I felt like the China war games around Taiwan was more impactful. I know Russia's. I mean, they've talked so much game and done nothing. You know, at some point, you just little boy cried wolf. You
What
know?
even is a tactical nuke? It's a nuclear warhead with less yield. It's like a little boy, like a little, like you could probably fire it
A
in
little
an
boy that you will
artillery
never
shell.
fire.
Yeah,
It's it's a littler boy. It's like the littlest boy.
yeah.
You know, you just want to level a
Here's a fun thing.
skyscraper completely.
There's a good chance that none of the nukes on this planet actually even function.
Don't say that.
When's the last time anyone's ever tried one?
Kim Jong Un.
North Korea tested one like last year, right? The U.S.
Was
tests
it a
them
nuke,
pretty
or was it just a
regularly.
missile that could have a nuke? When's the last time we dropped an atomic bomb?
Like the last actual nuclear test?
Yeah. Probably World War II.
1992?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Where?
Nevada test site.
Oh, right by Dork's house.
Yeah.
They actually, yeah, they dug a giant hole underneath my backyard and they detonated under there.
This is why you can't get your sprinkler system to work.
That's just the fracking that they'll be doing for the next 1,000 years under the mineral rights that the last owner sold to Exxon before they sold you the home.
Nice, perfect. You know what? I'm down. You know, I mean, we gotta advance society somehow, right?
This will be right under your house.
All nukes work just fine, man. We don't get that information for a litany of national security reasons. As a matter of fact, I think we do get that information. I just think that the Pentagon hasn't filed a budget in like 5 years. But I would assume that at least some of the US's nuclear arsenal is effective.
Like, I understand that
other countries, it might be a
like,
bigger question.
The only way to truly know, though, is to shoot it, right? Otherwise, you're just kind of assuming that because all of the checks that you've put in place that you're testing with seem to be coming back okay, indicates that it should fire if you fired it. It's not the same thing as confirming that it will fire.
Don't they have a failure rate? Like, don't some of them fizzle?
I don't know.
They do have a half-life. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I guess the best way to figure it out would be: do we still make weapons grade plutonium?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
It's massively expensive.
Yeah, we spend a shit ton of money on our military.
Yeah, but where are we? Like, those facilities are huge. Like, where the fuck are we? Where are we making it?
Well,
because you have to like the refining process is. I mean, that's what keeps most countries from having a nuclear arsenal.
Right. So here, let me break it down. So when you start off, when you're making weapons grade plutonium, the base component that you need is you need a ziblet to be able to actually create the fissile material. And those ziblets are actually developed in an AI factory.
Got it.
So that's why the Blackwell chips are so important.
I didn't realize this was going back to ziblets. That makes more sense. I mean, like, the chemical explosives in a nuclear bomb degrade, right? The tritium degrades. But the plutonium's good for like 100,000 years, I think, or something like that.
I don't know the half-life of plutonium off the top of my head. I'm not that big of a nerd.
Yes, you are. You're just not saying it. You're trying to be cool.
Maybe bro, what's a plutonium, bro?
Yeah, what even is a plutonium? No one knows. Is that like a moon of Saturn?
We say that atoms are composed of electrons and protons and neutrons, but I've never seen a proton or a neutron.
I've seen it.
Dirk, why are you showing EPAM and making me wish I bought puts on it?
I've got calls on it.
Do you?
Yeah.
This chart looks super bearish.
Yeah, it does. But there's
So why do
like,
you have calls on it?
there's no puts, right? There's no options interest around spot at all. It's just been going up and down ever since they slightly reduced forward guidance. Oh, because they make a shitload of money. And that hasn't changed at all. Like the price is down. But they're not like going out of business or anything. People are
Alright,
just
I'll buy
valuing them at a slightly lower multiple for no actual reason.
Alright, I'll buy a put on them so your call prints.
Thanks, man.
I got your back, bro.
Yeah, last quarter they and they beat on earnings too. They just guided down a little bit because they were uncertain about the effect of the war in Ukraine moving forward. Although they've gotten most of their operations out of the Ukraine.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we don't have to worry about the plutonium degrading. We just have to worry about the maintenance of the electronics and chemical explosives. Anyway.
So, okay, hold on. Before we give our predictions and wrap this up, because clearly there's nothing to talk about. What is the show going to be over the summer when nothing happens in the market for 3 months?
We could talk about. We could spend our time talking about our super cool new data.
We could, yeah.
Yeah.
We could talk about my drip system more.
Yeah, we can talk about Dork Sprinkler. We can talk about updates to your pool.
Yeah, pool's doing fine. I mean, I have to put more salt in it. We've had a lot of rain. But,
oh, J-Fresh. So remember how you were saying you just replace this one valve every year?
Yeah.
The previous owner of this property had like a junction put in so that I can remove that piece every winter so that it doesn't freeze over. Yeah, it's a backflow valve, yeah. Or I think it's a vacuum something valve.
Yeah, it's just a backflow preventer so that you don't dump your garbage back into the sewers water.
Yeah, so you may
Why do
be
you
able
have
to,
one of those?
it's for the sprinkler system, and I think it has to do with I think it has to do more with air in the lines than anything else.
I see.
So, but it is, yeah, but mine is detachable, so I just unscrew it at the end of the summer and pop it away in my garage, and then that way it won't freeze over.
Are we getting back into wheat? I wasn't. Maybe.
Commodities.
Yeah, commodities are going to be pretty awesome because even if tech fails, commodities go up. If tech keeps going up, commodities will go up on breadth, right? So it's just it seems like a win-win, which means I'm probably going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah, so it sounds like I should go all in on oil.
Well,
I was thinking more industrial.
Kind of turn.
We're just staying at 78, which was kind of what I would thought would happen in the early part of this year. I still think we're gonna have supply problems in the back half of the year.
Yeah, I just think in general, I mean, oil's, how low can it really go, right?
I mean, not that low with OPEC just cutting every time it drops, right?
Yeah, I don't see it going down more than like $5 from where it is now, and it's definitely got more room to the upside than the downside.
If the end of the war and the war in Ukraine ends, wheat is going to skyrocket because production will ramp up.
Gold's doing well, Bitcoin's flying.
Fertilizer might, but I don't think I don't think wheat prices are going to be a beneficiary of that.
Dude, wheat prices are going to be deflationary. So the most deflationary event that can happen to weed price is legalization. The moment it is commodified, it is going to go straight down in price. It's gonna be a race to the bottom.
Wheat, not weed, you
Oh,
fucking pothead.
You're such a meth head.
they were switching over to, we were talking about commodities. I was like, well, weed is gonna be a commodity.
Weed's not a fucking commodity.
We don't need to
It's gotta
talk
be a commodity.
about your bath salt addiction.
Jay Fresh, I'm gonna go toke up just to spite you.
Fertilizer interests me, but not wheat so much.
Like potash or just like straight fertilizer?
Yeah, potash.
IPI is one of my kind of favorite sort of picks for potash.
And I'm kind of getting into there's this theme that's building around this technology, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, are you thinking about going long? It's really speculative.
I want to get in before people hear about it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
See,
what kind of allocation are you thinking?
Like I don't know, like 1%.
Yeah, that seems justifiable.
At these prices, I don't know. I'm just sitting around
Breath has
waiting.
been doing
It's gonna be
okay.
a boring summer because
Yeah,
there's not much to do. I mean,
well, we have the June Fed decision, which could be pretty impactful. We also have PCE coming up, which I think is going to surprise again to the upside. And then
I'm really enjoying my
inflation's just going to keep getting hotter, right? Because we're not growing anymore.
So I do own some stocks, and one of the ones I'm really enjoying was getting into AT&T at $14.50.
Nice.
That's been nice.
Yeah, I've loved AT&T. The dividends have been fantastic. I just have it on drip, and like I don't see any reason to turn it off till it hits 20.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
like
just
one of the only one. I have some other like stuff in energy, but that's long term, and who knows what that's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, AT&T's been awesome. I've liked UGI a lot. I don't have a ton of money in it, but it's been a good performer. It's got like a 6% yield, so pretty similar to AT&T. I've been short REITs, but I might. No, I'll probably just stay short REITs. I don't see any reason to go long there for now. PBR was one that I was in and then I got out of as soon as they announced the new CEO, which was clearly the correct choice. Because even though they issued a dividend, an additional dividend for 33 cents, the price of the stock has dropped like $3. So I'm pretty glad I got out of that one. I have some ZOM, and I sold a bunch of in-the-money covered calls on it. Oxy. Yeah, I've still got oil exposure. Halliburton. Hal's interesting, like the oil field services. That'll be really interesting if we do get a supply crunch. Because the US is going to try to pad the production deficit, right? And that means that Halliburton and like, what's the other one? Schlumberger are going to make a shitload of money.
Yeah, Schlumberger is still pretty good. By the way, they actually rebranded themselves, so now their actual name is SLB.
Oh, nice.
They decided just SLB.
That's good. That's bullish, right? Now
people don't have
they're
to
not even
it.
called Schlumberger anymore. Nobody told me. They doxed myself, but I should have known that.
Should have known that.
Oh, they did. SLB, a global technology company. Oh, they're doing technology.
AI? Hold
AI?
on. AI oil field services? Because JFresh has 1% of his portfolio that's burning a hole in his pocket right now.
They're innovating in oil and gas. They're scaling new energy systems, low carbon energy, delivering digital at scale. accelerating your time to value, your TTV.
Ooh.
And it's got like, it's all women pointing at stuff. It's very weird. This is good. This is fun.
That's the best marketing material.
Reshape their grand challenge for their delivering digital at scale is reshaping the way that business is conducted to do more with less and better.
This all sounds like productivity and AI. When do they announce AI?
It does.
Well, I know what I'm going long next. AI oil field services.
They use the word. Hold on.
Oh, it's in there?
Oil and gas has been a lagging adopter in the digital realm. Digital adoption reduces the long and complex planning cycles inherent in the energy industry, and using AI-supported analyses drives performance, improving decision-making. Schlumberger is an AI company, guys. This changes everything. I might actually just go long Schlumberger.
Yeah, it's cheap too. It's way cheaper than it should be for AI. They're only trading at a PE of 15.
Here's an article they posted. When did they post this? So they don't say when they posted it, so maybe it's not an article. It's just a thing. But the title is 3 Ways AI Advances Health, Safety, and Sustainability in the Energy Industry.
Can we make sure Smooth Operator gets word? We're going long AI this week.
Schlumberger is an AI company, guys. This is a big deal.
He's not missing a second of today's stream, so I'm ensuring that we don't make any calls that are relevant. But yes, Schlumberger AI. When are they gonna get their first batch of H100s?
I don't know. I mean, who knows? They could already have them.
Oh fuck. That's extremely bullish. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, there's no words. I mean, there's some
insiders are selling shares hand over fist.
Insiders
they're selling the shares to prepare to buy the shares.
Yeah.
I mean, duh, right? They know that they're selling the dip so they can buy the rip.
No, they're selling now, and they're gonna increase their share payouts. Then they're gonna buy H100s.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they're gonna increase executive comp, and then buy H100s. It's perfect. Actually, I mean, Schlumberger does actually look like a decent buy.
Hold the phone.
What's up?
The vice president of what's his title? It just says a top executive. Oh, SLB vice president, a top executive of Schlumberger. On Monday, which was earlier, like beginning of May, predicted autonomous drilling of oil and gas wells will beat autonomous driving cars to market and create new efficiencies for oil producers. What a ridiculous thing to say. Autonomous drilling will increase efficiency and with the use of artificial intelligence result in improvements in the quality of the wells as each one is an improvement on the next. They're cranking soft goods.
All I'm hearing is
they're already cranking soft goods. Here's another fun tidbit. The Jan 21, 2024 2250 call had some of the highest implied volatility of all equity options on May 22nd. So I think we need to look at Schlumberger's options chain real quick because...
Yeah, hold on. In January, Schlumberger announced that it and Equinor drilled a well in Brazil that was over 2.5 kilometers using autonomous control mode that resulted in a 60% increase in rate of penetration, faster well delivery with reduced cost and carbon emissions.
Oh, Schlumberger's options trend does not look bullish. It looks
Hold on,
so
hold on.
July
fucking
looks kind of
bad.
sad, but it is a $46 stock. There's a bit of a Y in July, August at the money, but it's
Dude, we
probably
got here.
It's been 3
Oh,
years.
God.
I love the 36-month badge, by the way. Thanks, 3 ports down. God, it has been 3 years. Holy shit. This is 3 years,
Yeah,
guys.
Schlumberger is way below gamma neutral. Today is 3 years?
No, but like some point, like recently, it was 3 years. I don't pay attention to that shit. This is why I can't keep girlfriends.
Yeah, so Schlumberger is way below gamma neutral, delta neutral. Actually, significantly below, even like historically this year.
Sounds like you're saying nowhere to go but up?
Yeah, kind of. I'm actually kind of getting myself excited about Schlumberger.
I mean, I'm hearing all the things that I want to hear. I'm hearing AI. I'm hearing energy. I'm hearing
gambler's fallacy.
Gambler's fallacies.
Wait, the
So-
only thing it's missing is it at risk of going bankrupt?
Of course not. It's Schlumberger.
If it was imminently going bankrupt, I would yellow everything I have into it.
Yeah, or if they were racking up debt like FSLR.
Honestly,
Holy cow,
calls
there's
on
a
her
lot of
pretty
puts.
So many puts.
There's so many puts.
But are they going to become sold puts? Why is everyone short oil right now? The oil short is the weirdest thing in the world to me. Like, I get it trims inflation expectations, right? But it's so fucking dangerous to be short oil right now.
Oh man, there are actually a ton of fucking. Why are there so many puts?
I don't know.
They're all loaded.
They're all
actually loaded for end of a huge chunk of them are loaded for end of month. So then once those fall off, we're looking at a bunch of calls from like June OPEX onward. This thing's gonna run like a month.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how far it's gonna run. Maybe like $54.
There's a lot of puts since like September too.
A decent run if you're like wanting to play it with shares or some really sort of low contract, basically shares.
Yeah, I could see it going to like in the next few months going to like $55, like you said, which is a pretty big move.
Yeah, that's a huge move.
Yeah, it's just getting the leverage on. It's gonna kind of suck.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, just
Is
from
it?
a
How
technical
much are
perspective, though,
options?
It's kind of forming a head and shoulders, though, finishing a head and shoulders. So maybe wait for a little bounce.
Jan 26, $45 calls are $8.50. $50 calls are $6. That's actually pretty cheap.
Those, you mean 6 cents?
No, those were Jan 26.
Oh.
So the July 24 $50 calls are 50 cents.
Just get the 60 call if you're buying that much fucking theta, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but if you go to like, I think that like, you know, if you're trying to play like an actual swing on this, you're looking at like August or September calls, which are actually, those are still cheaper than shit.
They should be with all those fucking puts on the chain.
Dude, they're so cheap. Wow.
Yeah,
the $50 call is so cheap.
The August 50 is only 90 cents.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty. It's pretty.
I
Nice.
think I'm gonna wait to see what this head and shoulders does here on the 1 year.
Yeah, because it could still test like.
And then
like
once it starts turning
42.
around a little bit, I might jump in. I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but I got my eye on it now. Who was talking about who brought up Slumberjay?
Me?
All right, nice.
I mean, yeah, I wish it was
Hey,
poopy, but it wasn't poopy.
speaking of poopy, I gotta go deal with my kids. Let's do a prediction.
All right, give us your prediction.
Flat.
We all lost, so it doesn't matter. But
So Dork won
did I guess?
by $1.
Yeah.
Wait, did Dork have the
I'm on a winning
lowest?
streak.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he went $1 lower than you. I was
Okay.
$10 higher than you.
All right. Dork
All right,
Dork won, but he was $70 off.
Wait, so should the winner have to go first?
Yeah.
Is that a rule we should
Yeah,
put in
that's
place?
the new
Okay.
rule.
All right, so that means I go first?
Yep.
Sweet. 5,300 close Friday.
You bastard.
All right, I'm gonna go 5301 on Friday.
Don't do this to me, you guys.
You guys are pieces
I
of
swear.
shit.
I swear to God, Greg, if you say 52.99,
No. I'm gonna.
then you guys are teaming up and trying to bone me. Is what's happening.
I think we go up tomorrow into the sold calls. Hold on, we actually have data this week. You guys are. I hate it when you guys do this.
We also have Cash Kari talking on Monday.
Yeah, well, Tuesday.
Or
today's
Tuesday, sorry,
Monday. Yeah, but we also have a
Yeah.
2-year and a 5-year note auction. Then we're announcing money supply. Then a bunch of mortgage shit. 2-year FRN, 7-year note auction on Wednesday. US GDP Thursday, which I think is going to be way up. I think the preliminary report just signed. Oh, and we have PCE Friday? You guys are crazy. We're definitely going to 209 by the 299.99 by the end of the week. No, I'll actually try to make like a serious prediction because that's a lot of.
My prediction was serious.
I know it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah, none of the things you just said have mattered for the last like 4 weeks.
Yep. They haven't mattered for the past 2 months, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even longer. Like when Nvidia's earnings moves the market more than CPI, you know there's something wrong.
Hold on. I think I fucked this up. Let's see. Let me test. There we go.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Hey, what? All right, fine. Here, I'll give you guys more of a spread.
Bastard.
I want 85. There.
Okay, thank you. Now at least I have a shot.
Yeah. Has GME issued shares yet? They sold 45 million shares. They officially closed the offering on Friday after hours. To ring him. So now we'll hit 55 this week. Both of these peaks could be a little bit higher. Possibly. Like this could be like 50. But there's a lot of sold calls up there. I hate your guys' predictions. Anyway.
Meta to 500 is all I heard what you were saying there.
You won't get that with your prediction, though. Your prediction is the SPX trades flat all fucking week.
Yeah, and Meta's going to go straight up to keep it going flat.
I bet SLB... No, I don't think SLB is hitting 55 anytime soon. It's super bearish right now. It's just... if when those puts start to fall off, it could run. But right now, I think it could still drop back to like maybe even 42 before it goes anywhere. A bounce off 42 might be insane though.
Sounds about right. Yeah, this week was the breakdown of the resistance on the weekly candle. So, yeesh.
We're opening at like 53.30 right now tomorrow.
Nice.
53.20, 53.20.
Meta to 500.
Its bet is still going up. I stopped watching it after a while.
It's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
climbing
okay.
ever since earnings.
Yeah, ever since it dropped like 20%, just up because why not?
No, we're at like
They had
50
it like
we're at like
best
53.17 right now on
Don't fuck with the
SPX.
Zuck.
Yeah. Don't zuck the zuck.
Nobody
Zuck
outfucks the
zuck
Zuck.
and you get zuck.
Uh,
Do anybody use Facebook anymore?
that
Didn't
doesn't
they also
matter.
say they were going
I
to stop
don't.
doing? They were going to stop posting monthly active users.
None of that matters.
I know. I'm just asking a question.
Uh,
I was
Maybe.
not under the impression that people still use Facebook. I guess they use Instagram still. And WhatsApp. Wait,
That's-
who owns WhatsApp?
That's
I
distinctly
forget. Is
possible,
that
Madman.
Microsoft?
yeah, Facebook owns Telegram.
Yeah,
This is
Microsoft
actually
owns,
going to be like kind of
LinkedIn,
a
another social media platform that nobody uses.
kind of a spicy
Somehow
fucking
it's
week.
making-
We also have EU inflation this week.
Yeah, seems
Chinese PMIs are Sunday. When's the
nobody
fucking
cares.
FOMC meeting? That's the only thing that matters, right? We have one more CPI print. Jesus Christ, the FOMC meeting's on the same day as the CPI print. Yeah, so June 12th is going to be a crazy day. Yeah, we also have JOLTS. Next week we have all the labor data. That'll be impactful.
Doubt it.
Nope. Flat.
Doubt it.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, the market's going to go up because labor data is going to come in cooler, and then it's going to get revised up.
Well, PMIs are going to come in hot,
5 minutes later.
which is going to push up inflation even more. There's nothing like, wait, hold on, what's it called when labor's falling and inflation's still rising?
Flat market.
Mm.
They call that bullish as fuck. Soft
Okay.
landing. Everything is
Yeah.
awesome.
Sounds like the
Everything is
Fed's
awesome.
sounds like the Fed's doing their job and adhering to their dual mandate.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing.
The dual mandate
It
of
just makes
driving stagflation. The stag and the inflation. Those are that's the dual mandate.
No, you don't see. He sees neither the stag nor the inflation.
That's because he's not completing the dual mandate, but he's trying. Dual mandate not dead.
It's a dumb fucking market,
Yeah.
Kirk. I tell you, it's gonna go straight up.
I will start predicting movements when the market indicates to me that it gives a shit about something.
That's a good way to put it.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna assume it's gonna continue to ignore everything.
So VIX
and
3 month
just
at 15.
kinda slap its wet willy up against this massive sold call wall.
Yep. I mean, as long as the slaps are wet enough and I can make money off 0 DTAs, I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing I love more than ripping into a sold call wall and then dropping 50 bips.
Yeah, those are more fun than just like the just random walk plus or minus 8.
Yeah, I'd prefer that to just being short strangled to death at 5,300 for an entire
people are
week,
gonna
which is
try.
also
They're
very
gonna do their
possible.
damnedest to try.
J-Pow can't see the stag because he's riding it.
He is the stag.
He is, yeah. He's the bottom dot plot. He's the bottom dot on the dot plot. Every time. I'm convinced. He's the most dovish Fed member. He's the one that's like 8 rate cuts. We can do it.
Can we stop saying dovish and start saying cuckish?
Okay.
Like hawkish and cuckish.
Hawkish. What? Okay. Interesting.
I don't know what we could.
Should we keep it bird themed though? Like cluckish? Cluck.
Squawkish and cluckish.
Chussy?
All right, I gotta go.
Get out of here, man.
Oh my god.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.
Later, Jay Fresh.
Have a good one, man. All right. Thanks for coming on, guys. See you later, Dork. We should hang out tonight and play with option strat. All right, guys. Thanks for tolerating all of this. I wish we had more interesting shit to talk about today, but there's really not a lot. I mean, not outside of what we covered already in the beginning. So no FSLR play. I already went over that. It can keep going up. There's a shitload of call interest at 280, but if it gets rejected, it's probably going to fall back to 260. There's not a lot of support, but there's a lot of out of the money calls. And we're not seeing vol crash, so they're pretty long. And those go all the way out to like 300, 320 even. It could definitely still keep ripping. I don't see anything there to slow it down at least. But I'm still long. Calls on a test at 260, 300C 2 weeks out or further. I would probably give it if it retested 60, I would buy theta because I would want more exposure over a longer period of time. Also, there's some risk there that like China fires back with their own additional tariffs, right? Or trade restrictions. And so the window for FSLR and end phase could end up being really narrow. So keep that risk in mind. It's definitely there. Jimmy's base price should move up from $6. What do you mean? Like from a valuation standpoint? Shares, same like calls. I don't know if I'd want shares. I might get some shares. I have some 200s I'm thinking about exercising because the IV's just blown out so hard, right? And so selling covered calls could be a nice way to keep making money on it, especially once it finds a top. Is Meta's primary revenue source ad revenue or AI? It's ad revenue. It's not AI at all. So you guys, this is the way I think everybody should be thinking of AI investment right now. Remember when Zuck started pumping all the money into the metaverse? And he hasn't stopped. Even though he said he was going to stop, he started doing it again. That's what everyone's doing, but with AI. AI is just Metaverse 2.0. And initially, everyone was really, really into Meta spending all their money on the Metaverse, right? And then they were like, wait, this hasn't made any money. And people didn't like that. I hate this so much. Share proceeds plus cash dividend by total number of shares. There is no cash dividend. Oh, cash plus cash? Sure, but it's more diluted. So equity per share is more diluted because there's 45 million more shares. The increase in cash to the dilution was significant, right? Cash holdings are, doubled basically, and dilution was only like 15%, 16%. So yes, fundamentally it should have a slightly higher valuation. Probably around like, but also at the same time, their cash holdings aren't going to matter unless they do something with them, right? So, I mean, at $10 a share, GME's market cap's still like $2 billion, which is, you know, about what they're worth. Maybe $12.50 a share. Yeah, they still need a path to profitability or growth that currently doesn't exist. And buying risky microcaps, which is what Superstock wants them to do, is it's not a bull case. I mean, well, just think about the amount of money going into AI, right? If AI doesn't, if all of the ventures into AI that people are speculating on don't return on those investments like tenfold, all of that money's just being burnt, right? And so far, the only people who've made money off of AI are Nvidia. Microsoft's revealed like a slew of products that are all shit, like Copilot. And even if they do find adopters, are they going to find adopters in sufficient quantities to make all that money back? I fucking doubt it. Which commodities for entry? I mean, I don't know if any of them are particularly attractive at these prices besides like maybe oil and nat gas, and nat gas is risky. I mean, copper's way the fuck up. Gold's not at a bad price here, provided it continues to climb. Copper's probably a risky entry. I hate how it's so pervasive in our lives. Like, AI is dumb until it comes after us all. I mean, no, it's just dumb. The danger from AI isn't that it's going to turn into Skynet or the Terminator, right? The danger from AI is it's just going to make us all stupider. A lot stupider. And create more problems than it ever solves. I still have UGI on drip, although it's getting really close to my exit, like where I turn drip off. So like above 25-ish, maybe 26, I'll probably cut drip. But as long as it stays between 20 and 25, I'll just keep accumulating off of the drip. If it retests 20, I might buy more. I mean, it's 7% a year, which is nice. Their earnings, ever since I bought in, have been beating, right? I mean, they've beat expectations. They moved from negative EPS to positive, and not only that, they went from negative to the last quarter EPS was at $1.97. So I think they've been doing pretty good. I know they got a debt payment, so there's some downside expected on the next earnings. And that might give like a double dip entry opportunity. But I'm probably gonna stay long UGI for a few years. Most of my energy exposure, that's true. XPAM charges 50 an hour for Eastern European coders who get paid 15 an hour. AI LLM definitely makes them faster. What? Like building out code base? I mean, maybe it does it faster, but it doesn't necessarily do it better. Thoughts on Treasury starting to buy back debt this week? That's super bullish for USA's bottom line, right? I mean, they're only buying like the securities that would be marked to market anyway, and those are being rolled over, right? So it'll create more liquidity for money markets, but I don't think it's going to have a big effect otherwise. So we might see like the 3-6 for, well, everything from like 17 weeks out to 40, like 17 weeks out to 4 months will probably, like, yields should probably drop in that range. But we'll probably see the top end of the curve move higher. Tech save money by firing non-performant employees via AI excuse. Yeah, okay. I mean, and they had a lot of excess labor, right? But they're spending twice that amount of money in capex on AI. So all the money they saved is I mean, 10 times that amount is going into buying Nvidia chips that aren't earning them profits. It's all about the chat prompt. If I tell it to write code, it does it. But if I tell it to write code using best practices, it does better. Don't underestimate the power of words. I mean, you still have to have a senior engineer who you're paying 10 times the amount of money to go in there and check all of the code, right? And sure, that might be faster, but it depends on what errors the AI comes up with. I'm here and hope the stream is going great. Can you summarize the stream in 3 words or less? Boring as fuck. I'm watching it 2x, so say it really slow, please. Too bad. All right. Pickles Picks will be out tonight. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day, guys. I'll catch you all later. Peace.